Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to DSG here, bringing you McMasters versus SKZA. I am Starman, and joining me today is Meowing Cat.
Hey, I am looking forward to these games as we have some David versus Goliath matchup going on here tonight.
Absolutely. We have SKZA, one of the absolute top contenders in the league right now, just looking to secure spot number 3 versus McMasters, arguably the lower tier team here.
Yeah, we do have the 1-5 up against the 5-1, so it is a bit of a difference in the brackets, but at the same time, these two teams don't really have much to gain or lose from this, so we should see them putting on a pretty fun show for us tonight.
Absolutely. No holes barred, really, either way. They should be trying everything. McMaster here is just looking for that bragging right of saying, hey, we took him down in the end and fought to the last tooth.
Yeah, and there is a bit of mind games to everything. SKZA might not want to give away too many of their strats heading into playoffs. While McMaster, they're kind of just coming in swinging, going for the jugular. So we might potentially see an upset, which wouldn't have too many playoff implications. But nevertheless, it will be exciting to watch if McMaster can take the wins, as it is definitely possible, especially with SKZA possibly having a not so great mentality heading into this against an underdog. They might just kind of be looking over them.
And also looking at it just from a strategy perspective, if you're looking at all the games you have to play in a week, this is not the one that SKZA necessarily is going to put a lot of effort in figuring out the matchups because it's not as important. So if they're training, they're going to be training for those playoffs already, knowing they have a spot for it. So that actually gives McMasters potentially an advantage here of maybe being overlooked.
It definitely does. And this is also great experience for them. If they're able to secure a win or the series here, that would look great for McMaster and give them some of that experience that they need heading into further competitive seasons, which definitely would help them in the future. Obviously, it's not going to matter too much now for the rest of this IAL, but nevertheless, they do want to play their best and get that good experience in, show what they got, and just kind of have the bragging rights, as you did mention. It always will feel good to kind of take down the top of the league team.
Yeah, it's definitely good for the players' mentality if they want to continue moving as a team, and it's also helpful for the coaches to see, okay, we could do this, so maybe we have a shot at it next season if we just arrange things a little differently, play separately. Either way, we're getting right into the drafts here. Pretty normal bans, honestly.
Yeah, the Kennen and the Lissandra are banned out. Pretty strong solo laners. And the Lissandra is a bit flexible too, does deny a lot of that assassin potential, which McMaster might not, which SKZA just might want to be able to do, picking some more snowbally, roll over you champions, saying we're just going to beat you at an individual level. So kind of taking away that anti-assassin is going to open up more aggressive picks. And the Morgana also banned away by SKZA. Now this is 9.5, so we are with the updated and reworked Morgana and Kayle respectively. But Kayle is banned out due to her having a major update, while the Morgana has received very minor changes in comparison, so she is still going to be playable, and so she is banned out here by SKZA.
Yeah, I have to say it's a wise choice. The league necessarily removing Kayle from the arrangement here. As you mentioned, there was quite a different change. Morgana, however, if I'm recalling correctly, the changes they did were largely just small buffs. She could move faster towards enemies. She has bound with the first part of Soul Shackles, and I believe they moved the damage around on her Tormented Soil.
Yeah, so her W does less damage to high health targets. She has 5 less base movement speed, literally unplayable. But her ultimate now gives a lot of movement speed heading towards targets that you are ulting. So overall, just some kind of nice changes from Morgana. Definitely would see a positive trend towards that whole change thing, but obviously the visual rework is where it's really at. But in the end, banned out. It's not going to matter too much for the rest of this game. Maybe will be important later in the series. But we do see these solo laners being picked up already really early on. Darius first picked blind, which is a very bold move by McMaster, and SKZA kind of just matching with a Galio, saying we're just going to play towards the side lanes, play with an aggressive jungler potentially, and try to just focus in on that.
Yeah, I think it's really confident, like you say, picking the Darius because there's so many options that can't shut that down. In fact, we see Poppy, which is a pretty good pick into Darius, but that does more or less lock Galio in. So I feel like the Poppy maybe shouldn't have been drafted now, since you could draft that anytime.
Well, the Galio necessarily isn't locked in yet. This could still be flexed to support. We have seen that done a bit as well. So, you know, there's always options there. But the Rumble coming out as well for McMaster, and that is to be expected with Looter in the mid lane, as he just loves himself some of that Rumble. He is a Rumble one trick, and he just plays that hundreds of games in solo queue. I think thousands actually at this point.
That's got to be something at least a little intimidating. I mean, obviously, everyone here is good players, respectively. Everyone here should be knowing the champions are playing on. But when someone has that much experience, it is a little bit intimidating. It's like, wow, they may know literally every matchup with this champion.
And I fully expect that if the Galio goes mid lane, Looter will have a pretty okay time at the very least into the Galio. Now, he is a bit safe because of his magic shield, but, you know, since it is a melee champion, Rumble generally does pretty well into them. I think that Looter definitely has the matchup experience and knowledge that he'd be able to handle this if this is what is going to happen on the side of Schism. We do see the junglers also picked up, so none of the bot lane picks coming out, save for maybe a flex pick on Schism side. But the Rek'Sai and Elise, now with the Conqueror changes, those have directly hurt Rek'Sai, as she is really good with the new Conqueror, but she didn't receive any kind of nerfs herself while being a very good champion, so she is still pretty high priority herself, while Elise, extremely strong early game, which is a bit interesting considering McMaster has really good early game. You would think that they'd maybe want to play towards more later game with that Galio pick, but they're fully signaling that they want that Elise to play aggressively and have that Galio protect her and make aggressive plays.
I gotta say, the Elise pickup certainly is really good for those early rotations. Really, really nice, you know, with the binding, and you can engage from a range and you can catch champions from a range. But I'm not sure it's worth that, as you mentioned, because late game team fighting with Elise is really rough. I don't think Galio is necessarily going to be able to compensate for that one. I think the most intriguing thing in the past month, just in League of Legends in general for me, is the rise of Rek'Sai and the subsequent kind of tapering off, as you mentioned, the Conqueror nerfs. Why do you think it is that she's found her way back to the limelight so well?
Well, a lot of junglers just getting hurt over and over means that every other jungler rises in priority. Conqueror works extremely well with her because she's able to proc it extremely fast due to her Q, W knockup, and then Q auto attacks plus the E. You get it just like that in, I believe you can do it in 1 to 2 seconds is a time frame, depending on how fast you do it. But that is one of the fastest ways to proc Conqueror because of her kind of dual kit, because she can change forms. She has extra abilities, so pretty easy for her to do that. But we are going to some of the bot lane picks here as well, and the Varus picked up blind provides some kind of safe pick potential, and it does look like Schism is playing a lot more for pick and counter play with the disengage on the Poppy and the re-engage on the Galio, and then the pick with the Elise and Varus, so not trying to force big team fights, while on the flip side, McMaster has a lot of AoE damage with the Rumble, a big scary threat on the Darius and the Vayne. They're just all around a lot of damage for McMaster.
Yeah, the Vayne Lulu lane obviously really good right now, and it's a pretty solid pickup considering what they have so far. They still do lack a mage in the traditional sense of a zone control mage, but we'll see if Rumble can maybe work something up in that area.
And, I mean, the way that Looter plays Rumble is very aggressive. He will just constantly be roaming around, making aggressive plays. I'm not exactly sure on his current rune choice. Some Rumbles used to run Comet. For a period of time, there was the Dark Harvest Rumble when that was really strong. I believe it has shifted back to the Electrocute Rumble, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to see. I'm interested in the rune choice and build, and it might vary on matchup as well. But the Electrocute Rumble does provide a lot of burst damage and a lot of roaming potential, while if he goes for Comet, it's much more kind of slow Rumble, just burning away in lane. So I'm interested to see how he's going to kind of play it out, if he's just playing to dominate lane or if he's playing to roam to the sidelines. Because if Rumble goes to the bot lane and hold on a second. Zoe was picked up, so I think that actually might be the Galio flex into the bot lane.
I was gonna say I don't think Galio or I don't think Zoe support is really.
I mean, just thinking about it, Zoe support, if she lands a bubble, you can get a lot of damage with that Varus, you know, get a QW. But I do think that it would probably be the Galio support, so that is pretty interesting, especially considering that there's a Vayne picked up. I guess they're kind of just saying we'll take the bad bot matchup for a good mid matchup, because Zoe's definitely much easier to manage into Rumble. But now this Vayne, able to just condemn the Galio away when he's charging forward, deal a lot of damage to him as a melee champion who she can easily kite out. I'm not too sold on the Galio flex here.
Yeah, not to mention Lulu's a ranged champion that can deal a decent amount of damage in the early game. So that's going to be pretty rough, depending exactly on what Dime likes to do here and how he likes to play Lulu. But I got to say, that seems like a really safe lane for Vayne to be in.
Yeah, it definitely is a very safe lane for Vayne, which means, you know, Vayne just getting a free lane into the late game with a Lulu to back her up is extremely scary to deal with if you are SKZA. And so at this point, while SKZA doesn't necessarily have a bunch of winning lanes, I mean, Darius into Poppy matchup, I don't even care for too much I don't think it's really Poppy favored. She has disengage potential with her ulti, that is true. You know, she can just stop the Darius in his tracks, just ult him out of a fight, he can't really do anything. But the laning phase is pretty rough for her, and the mid lane matchup, yes, Looter might have trouble with the Rumble versus Zoe, but he can obviously go to side lanes, roam a lot with the Electrocute Rumble, and still pick up a lot of gold that way. I think Rek'Sai versus Elise is kind of a toss-up. They have their strengths and weaknesses, and then bot lane is in favor of the Vayne and Lulu, so McMaster definitely unorthodox team comp and a lot of damage, but if they're able to snowball, they have a wonderful shot at winning this game. While SKZA, they did some fancy things with the draft, but overall, they need to make picks happen. They need to find the bubbles, they need to find the Varus ultis or the cocoons, and they need to just eliminate those members on their own without the team there to clean it up, because if they get caught by a big equalizer from the Rumble, and people are there to back it up, like the Vayne with the Lulu, or the Rek'Sai to dive in there, that could be scary things for SKZA.
Yeah, that actually is a good point. One of the tactics that could be used actually by SKZA here is flexing the Elise bot side a lot and often, because if the Cocoon lands or if the Chains of Corruption land from Varus, that is basically opening the gate for just killing her with CC. That's a possibility. Could go that route. If that fails, though, you're going to find yourself in a really tough spot come mid-game.
Yeah, and at this mid-game point, it is also important to mention that there might be a cleanse on the Vayne. We have to see if that's going to change at the last second. Maybe a heal on the Lulu to go with that? No, it looks like just cleanse, ignite bot lane. So not having that heal for the combat summoner is going to be important. But at the same time, this Vayne, now without the heal, obviously a little more squishy, but has the cleanse. So if she gets bubbled, if she gets ultied by the Varus, or if she gets at least cocooned, she has a way out of that, which is extremely important to getting down this squishy champion, this slippery champion like the Vayne.
I wonder if it might have been more advantageous to rush a QSS. Of course, that's just entirely subjective.
I mean, there's a lot of CC. You might as well do both at this point, I guess. You QSS the Varus ulti, and then you cleanse the Zoe sleep.
I doubt she'll end up going with both, but you are right. She could grab both. I think the
there
cleanse
is a lot of
to
CC.
get onto
Every
the
single
board.
champion has hard CC. The Galio flash taunt, the Poppy flash stun. I mean, there is a lot. It's not crazy to think that that would be a possibility from Dime, but at the same time, there's also 4 other members without a cleanse. We might see Lulu picking up the Mikhails to kind of compensate for that, but if any of those other members get locked down besides the Vayne, that could also mean trouble as well, until they get to a very late game state in which Vayne can just roll over the entirety of SKZA by herself.
Yep, and if that does reach the point, then McMasters has a really good chance at taking this away.
Yeah,
we are gonna go to a break here real quick, guys, and we'll see what's happening once we get in game. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into the game between McMasters and SKZA. SKZA just taking a little loop around the enemy jungle, and no bloodshed so far.
Yeah, and heading into the game, we are seeing things that we are kind of expecting to see. Some things that we aren't quite expecting to see too much of. We'll cover that a little more after we introduce the players, as if you would like to take that away, Starman, or, go for it.
So, we've got on SKZA, Bad Comedy in the top lane, JG Prince in the jungle, FYS, which I think that's pronounced Fries, in the mid lane on the Zoe, Free Soul playing the AD carry role, and Past Infinity in support. Other side of the map, we've got J-Bar in the top side, Thought Assassin just going after those thoughts hardcore in the jungle, Looter playing up the mid lane. Might be a throwback to old Looter from Samsung White, not sure. Dame playing AD carry once again, and Causation on Lulu in the support role.
Yeah,
and already
coming out in the mid lane.
Level 2, JG Jungle Prince. That was almost there. The
Cocoon missing definitely did not help that out. But overall, everything looking pretty standard and like we expected. The Rumble does have the electrocute gank in the bot lane, though.
Absolutely, Past Infinity might make it out of there just fine. Like you talked about the Lulu poke, just pretty good there for the early game.
Yeah, so is the Varus poke, though. With the Comet as well, you have to take note that this Vayne is taking a lot of damage, especially when Lulu's not shielding properly, as she didn't have it available yet, I believe. But this matchup does allow the Varus to get a decent amount of damage, and that's kind of why I was thinking it's a bit of a missed opportunity having the Galio, because if you see, and you're watching this bot lane, he just has so little pressure compared to most other supports. Now watch the 2v2 in mid lane.
Cocoon doesn't land that time either. Looter going after Fives, but he's going to be the one that's extremely low. Flash comes out from Jungle Prince, but he's going to pay as well. Thought Assassin trying to make it good on Fives, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Fist just getting out there. JG Prince trading 1-for-1, not too big of a deal, but it does look like the mid lane. Oh, hold on, trading bot lane.
He's gonna get big that taunt on with Past Infinity. Woo! Huge slam there to the ground and the ignite to finish it off. Top lane, meanwhile, Jabbar going in with Bad Comedy. Probably not finding this too funny now, but man, those stacks add up fast.
Definitely. Pretty good overall for SKZA, I would say. They're coming out with a 500 gold lead, and also in the mid lane, well, if Fist is able to recall and get a reset, that isn't bad, and that's pretty good for him, as Looter did lose a lot of CS there too, as there was a wave built up, so Fist just froze it, and Looter missing out definitely a lot more. As you can see, the CS difference already 8 over, and also look at this regank.
Yep, Jungle Prince comes back in, but he's going directly on Fizz, is looking to escape from Looter there. No mana to make it good. Meanwhile, topside, Thought Assassin is making the gank. Looter Mac trying to find his way out of here. I think he is going to be just fine.
And that's just, Elise doing Elise things. You can be cheeky like that, just constantly regank. Because if there's a mid laner who doesn't really have the mobility options that, a LeBlanc would have, like Rumble is pretty immobile. He's not super immobile. He does have the speed up on his W with a shield for that survivability. But if it's on cooldown or, oh, watch this damage in the bot lane, not going to be able to get it. It does. Ooh.
Getting that last proc, always extremely nice there.
But
yeah, I got to say that the potential of going down in levels is not quite as scary on Elise as it might be for some other junglers, just because her ability to duel is so strong.
Yeah, and if she finds a successful gank, she'll also just pass the Rek'Sai up in experience due to the experience nerfs in the jungle. She is down that 200 gold, even though they are even in kills, due to that, 10 CS in the jungle. But watch this Vayne.
Past Infinity doesn't man to land that slam. Now the taunt isn't going to land either, but mid lane is where the action may be happening. Fizz trying to get away from Thought Assassin. Full rage there, but not able to close the deal. A lot of action in that mid lane.
Yeah, bot lane too. Few trades back and forth, but now the Elise.
Absolutely, Jungle Prince coming in. Same story once again. Low health bars on the side of McMasters, and it's going to be Looter going down.
And Looter, while he has pretty good impact over the game, especially going into the mid game, right now he's just getting completely gimped in the early game due to this Elise and the bad matchup of the Zoe, and that's exactly why I was cautious of this Galio pick, as if they are able to flex it, then it will completely just ruin the mid lane potentially because of the matchup. Now, Past Infinity's having a bit of a rough time himself, health-wise, but Free Soul is just destroying Dame because of that poke Varus that he's able to do. Already having those 2 long swords with that comment, it's just too much in the
Rousey. It does connect, Cocoon doesn't, but it doesn't matter either way. Free Soul picks up the first one. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, he got the execute though. Wow, that's a tilter right there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he misses hardly any time. They might have gotten experience for that, but in the end, that is very, very good for the side of Schism. And, you know, we were saying that if McMaster got a lead, they would do very well with it just due to their composition. Every single champion on their team accelerates the game so quickly when they get a lead. But on the flip side, this pick composition by Schism, now that they're ahead, just one single member is able to just catch out and assassinate members basically on their own or with just one other person there. And that opens up a lot of map control. Now they can just choke out the vision. And if McMaster doesn't respect it, they could drop even more kills. So that really changes the dynamic of this early game a lot. And now Jabbar might have to deal with the gank himself.
Absolutely, Jungle Prince making his way through downtown. There's the flash. Cocoon after the flash. I gotta say, Jungle Prince, not impressed by his Cocoon landing rate so far. I think he's got 1 out of 8.
Yeah, I do like the repeated gank attempts, although the Cocoons have been leaving a little bit to be desired. But just overall concept of these ganks, the gank timings, and the positioning when he's coming in for these ganks is pretty solid overall. Ooh.
As you mentioned, Condemn, they're actually going to make him fall back a little bit. The winds come through. You can feel that stank, and here comes Thought Assassin. Spike goes through.
Darkstar does have the ulti.
2 more procs. That's going to be it. Dame gets a kill.
And that's really nice. That actually does help salvage the bot lane. And if Dame is able to pick up a few more kills, as I mentioned, this Vayne, once she reaches that late game with, 4 or 5 items, she will be able to just solo carry these fights with the Lulu supporting her. And if the rest of the members are able to frontline...
Flash, unearth onto Free Soul, goes into the cave. Dame gets that one as well, and Thought Assassin walks out the back. Cocoon lands in the mid lane here. Jungle Prince is trying to make it good. Equalizer, though, is coming through. Jungle Prince actually in a lot of danger. He's going to come back right down on, and there's a Flame Spitter. He's going to get the kill. Not before Looter gets pinned against the wall by Bad Comedy. Talk about a joke. The joke is your life.
Yeah, but Looter does get that turnaround kill and the shutdown on JG Prince. And that's exactly what you have to be careful for. When this Rumble has the electrocute, he can destroy squishy health bars, and right there just demolishes that Elise. And while this Rumble is having a pretty tough time, he still has a decent amount of teamfighting utility with that ultimate. His base damages are extremely high, as most people do know. And the Leandre's pickup will make him pretty efficient at also shredding down the health bars of the tankier members like the Poppy and the Galio. So while Looter is having a tough time, that shutdown's going to help a lot, and he still will do pretty decent in the mid game when the team fighting is starting. And even just being a frontline in front of the Vayne is going to add so much value to this team fighting, because as long as that Vayne is alive, she can just do crazy things with a Lulu buffing her up.
Yeah, I have to agree there. It would seem that Schism is definitely flexing their comfortability on what they're doing right here. This comp looks really natural to them, so I mean, it's characteristic of them as well, so not surprising. They're going to flex around this dragon, and I think they're just going to try and hang on to the control they have bot side and try and force this through to the mid-tier 2s.
And we do see a lot of bot control coming up from JG Prince because this Infernal Drake is up, and they are going to start it off. Now, Thought Assassin does have wards on this and is working his way down to contest it, but it is dropping pretty quickly.
A lot of damage there. FaZe is coming in. They're going to pull it out. I don't think there's going to be a chance. No, he does. Thought Assassin gets the steal, trying to take Jungle Prince down with him. Not a chance.
But that Infernal Drake is extremely important. That is a first Infernal, so both teams would have received a 10% increase. Now with that going over to McMaster, with their heavy damage composition, as we mentioned, super strong when they're able to get a lead. Every single member of that team will love this Infernal Drake, and so that is a huge pickup, and also a pretty big takeaway from the side of Schism, who was getting a pretty sizable lead with that Infernal, would have been extremely strong. Now, that goal difference, while still in favor of Schism, isn't quite as apparent as it seems, as that Infernal Drake has that uncounted value.
Absolutely, you don't get to see necessarily how much that is worth in raw items. Probably not quite 2k gold, but it's around there. Jabbar playing it sneaky. Here he comes. He's probably looking for the kill here. Lands the first cleave. He's getting the stacks up. That's 4. There's the full. I'm just going to let him bleed those out. I don't know what Bad Comedy's doing here. He might be flexing for a jungler. Jabbar has ultimate.
Bad Comedy does have the flash though, so that is important. You know, he should be able to play safe enough that if he needs to, he can use that as a panic button.
Absolutely. Here comes the taunt though. Bot side. Lulu gets hit. She's pigified. Stunned. That's going to be free soul. And in comes the Gallia ulti defensively. Interesting neutralization with the condemn there.
It did disengage the fight though, and maybe they will re-engage it now with those ultimates down.
There comes Thought Assassin. Gets the unroot. Free soul is knocked up, taking a lot of damage. 1 tick away. Dame walks away with kill number 2. Past Infinity is not out of the woods yet. Thought Assassin. Oh no, he gets condemned by Dame, and there it is, the ultimate to secure the 2nd kill.
Yeah, and that's huge. Although, hold on a second. Junk Prince up here in the top lane. Will the cocoon land?
It is the question. It does, and that's going to be the end of the life for Jabbar. Wow,
yeah,
a lot of control there from Jungle Prince.
I do like that Jungle Prince was able to help kind of secure top lane for Bad Comedy a bit more, but at the same time, his bot lane paid the price for it. And the member I was talking about notably in this late game, especially, is Dame on this Vayne. And he's the one picking up all these kills. He has the most gold on his team, save for the Rek'Sai, by just
look at
barely.
Damage! Oh, Jungle Prince barely making it out there, but he might not be out of the woods.
Ooh, Looter does get bubbled though.
That's going to be tough for him. Here comes the Paddle Star. Lots of damage. 4 members moving in on him. Bad Comedy's there. Thought Assassin as well. Here comes the teleport, though. So Thought Assassin pinned up, knocked down. Here comes the taunt through. Mistimes it. No, he doesn't. Perfectly hit. That's one drowsy Darius. And Paddle Star again. Lots of damage. Jabbar trying to find his way out of this one. He does get the heal, but Jungle Prince makes it out of there just fine. And now Looter's biting it right back in here. Causation trying to make it worthwhile as well. What a fight. The winds of change come through. And just like that, double kill.
And that was extremely unfortunate. Jabbar didn't get his ultimate off. Thought Assassin and Looter did not have their ultimates available. And Causation was just a bit too late to protect Jabbar to buy him a few more seconds. And that was just a fight of, you know, if there was 1 or 2 more ultimates on the side of McMaster, they might have actually just rolled that fight over.
Yeah, it was really bad timing all around for McMaster's unfortunate outnumberings at the wrong time. And Thought Assassin being shut down early in that fight was definitely harmful, because the DPS from Rek'Sai can be fierce.
And just overall, a lot of gold on that Zoe now as well. We should mention that. She is 6k gold, 6.2 to the 4.2 of Looter on this Rumble. So Fist just having a huge pop-off game on the Zoe now. And she's just going to be able to one-shot those carries that we were, you know, hoping would be able to do a lot of work. Jabbar also having a much tougher time now, as Bad Comedy's been picking up a lot of kills and just some of the assist gold in the jungle. Now an 800 gold lead for Bad Comedy, and both solo lanes losing. You have the Vayne as a kind of, you know, beacon of hope, but if those solo lanes are too strong for the Vayne to deal with, if they're too tanky, or they will just one-shot her, that is just something they can't deal with.
Jabbar trying to fight in on Bad Comedy here. He hasn't been able to find one that he liked. This might be the all-in. The dunk does to go through, and there's the solo kill redemption for Jabbar.
Yeah, that is shutdown gold going over to this Bruiser in the top lane as well. That is very important to have. As well as having the Demolish on that Darius, he's going to be able to smash that turret down. However, Bad Comedy does have teleport when he is alive, and there is an Infernal Drake, which Jabbar does not have a teleport to match. So Jabbar needs to decide if he's going to work his way down to contest that Drake, if they're going to just go for another steal with Thought Assassin, or if they're going to contest without him, which would be extremely risky. It looks like another steal attempt, though. They will try to zone him this time, though.
If he gets through... Oh, the dragon actually reset. Oh, it doesn't matter, though. Drowsy is what drove Thought Assassin away from the dragon pit there. Unfortunately, didn't even get a chance to try round 2 there.
good kind of zoning.
Equalizer though goes down. This could be a big one. There comes Galio. Does get the taunt down on the Thought Assassin, and Free Soul is untouched here. Get the damage on the Looter. Causation is going to save life with a big of 5, but now Free Soul looks for him to deal the damage, and they're going to back away.
And it's a bit questionable why they're taking such risky 3v4 fights without, you know, the Vayne who's fed, or the Darius who does have a lot of base damage on his kit. Yes, Looter does a lot of damage, but the Rek'Sai isn't extremely fed right now. The Lulu's not going to deal too much damage, so you're getting them really low, but not having any way to finish off those kills, and just blowing cooldowns, losing that Rek'Sai, it's just a bit uncoordinated, and it seems like they just pulled the trigger just without any kind of game plan by McMaster.
Let me ask you this. You're up 3k gold as a team. You have control of all the objectives. Explain to me why you don't have a single outer tower. And Looter, gonna go down right as I'm talking there. But the question still stands. Why?
There is some issues with, you know, Poppy not being able to, you know, push into a Darius under tower. Obviously, he will just start beating her up. The Vayne and Lulu do just destroy the Galio, and while the Varus can poke, he won't be able to, you know, hit the tower with his auto attacks, because his auto attacks aren't the same as his Q range. Now, mid lane is a bit of a different story. With that range into melee matchup and Looter having a much worse time, we do obviously the tower just falling right there. But top lane tower, extremely healthy. Bot lane tower, not taking too much chip either, is kind of explained away by that. But they don't need to overplay, you know, overforce either. As long as they're playing for their strengths and playing for these objectives. And obviously this objective, the Herald, is now the main focus. This is great by SKZA, but they need to make sure that they are not dropping the momentum. They are keeping up the aggression, as they do not want to wait until that Vayne starts scaling.
Absolutely correct. So we see the one tower return, so now we are 1-1 for towers. First tower obviously going to Jabbar. That Herald could help swing things, and they have been pushing this top side a lot. You saw them steal the blue buff. There comes the Equalizer. It's not going to be enough. Oh, bad comedy, whiffing the ult. There's a flash forward once again for the knockup. Drowsy it is. Fez trying to find a way out of the back of this one fight. He's not going to be able to. Rek'Sai walks away with a kill there. Now Jungle Prince on the back foot. They're diving 2 towers deep. Nope, they're not. Thinking better of it, and they're out.
However, on the backside of that, the Rift Herald was picked up by SKZA, as well as that bottom outer tower. So now it's all about what are they going to get with that Rift Herald to kind of match that value, because that was a 1k shutdown going over to the side of Thought Assassin, and Looter and Jabbar able to split that assist gold. But oh, Jungle Prince destroying Causation, and that's exactly the pick, you know, potential that we were talking about, where every single member of this team is now fed. They're able to just solo kill people, and especially that squishy Lulu, if she's walking up and not ready to just flash out or have people supporting her, she's just going to die trying to get that vision. That's why you need to stay coordinated getting that vision. That's why you're going to be utilizing these blue trinkets on Dame, possibly on Looter, although he might want to grab a red trinket or something for himself. We'll have to see on that one, but you can't just face check bushes like that by yourself against a comp with so much heavy pick potential.
And I think one of the larger issues here that we're going to find later in the game is the evenness of the Drakes now, with obviously both teams having one Infernal. It's essentially like nobody having any, but it accelerates the game overall, which plays to Vayne's favor, just not right now.
And yeah, with the matching Infernal Drakes, it definitely does help out the side of McMaster more so than SKZA, but there is still a very sizable gold lead for SKZA. And at this point, they really need to get either really good fights by McMaster, or they need to get number advantages and then force the fights. But problem is, their engage. Their engage is a Rumble ultimate, or a Rek'Sai diving in, or just a Vayne rolling forward with a death ball with a Lulu. So your engage options aren't that clear cut, kind of like the unlike the pick potential of SKZA, where they don't want to force a giant 5v5 team fight, they want to force a pick. They don't really have that target lockdown, and so it feels like McMaster has to just kind of turn these objectives around, and they aren't able to do so extremely well. They did get that kill on Fizz, which was very nice, but they're going to have to get more than that each time, or else they're just going to lose too many objectives for the few kills that they're picking up.
Yeah, I have to agree. But seeing as they do have the Herald, they need to push something. It looks like they're going to try and split this up. Oh, there it is. There's the summons. They're going to push all of the mid. Jabbar's topside has to find his way back to the mid lane here. I want to say, Thought Assassin has flash unburrowed twice, and both times resulted in a kill. So he is 2 for... Oh, there. There's the Equalizer cutting off the escape, but there's no tower now. And here comes the Paddle Star onto Jabbar as well. Looter trying to find a way through the backside here. Flame Spitter is there, but short range, too short for him to risk getting any closer. And now they're defending nothing. Inhibitor is down, and Schism gets exactly what they wanted.
They did get the flash out of Jung Prince, as well as Free Soul there. Free Soul flashing aggressively to try to pick up the kill on Dame, and Dame getting extremely low before the fight even really starts. Kind of just means that they can't even contest that tower, and that is just something you can't be dropping. Now, Cloud Drake going over to Schism, not too big of a deal. A Mountain Drake would be the biggest problem, I think, but there is another Infernal next Drake around, so that is a pretty big pickup and a pretty big denial if it is able to go over to Schism again. And with that, they're able to reset. They can have, Poppy in the bot lane, 401 split push due to the mid lane being shoved in automatically by the super minions. Play around that Baron, look for those picks, look for that vision control, choke out the side of McMaster, and Schism has a pretty solid game going for them. The only problem is if they're able to let this Vayne farm up. With that giant mid wave that's going to be coming into her constantly, you have to be worried about that, and so that's the one thing you have to keep an eye on.
Something I have to question a little bit is Dame did rush the QSS immediately following the Bork, which sets back his 2-item spike a decent distance, and that's something you actually really needs to get to that Ginsu's Rage Blade before too much longer in this game, or he won't have an option to even play the game.
Yeah, now Jabbar does have the teleport available, but it does look like the Baron might be started soon, and it is started, although they haven't fully committed to it.
I see Fizz just gonna try and keep them at bay. The Paddle Star range is insane.
Jabbar is TPing.
Yeah, he is. The Equalizer is actually down in the pit. This could be a lot. Looter jumps right over. He goes directly onto Free Soul. Eliminates him instantaneously. Dame's popped the final hour, and this could be the turnaround. Past Infinity takes 1, 2, 3, and that's it. On Burrow as well. He's on to Jungle Prince, but Thought gets absolutely bodied out the side. Asleep is Jabbar, and sleep is how we caught FI West. Looter comes in for the backside once again. Beautiful ultimate for a wonderful team fight.
And I think the only problem there was Causation not staying with Dame and being kind of split and getting just singled out. But besides that, if the Lulu was able to protect that Vayne to enhance her speed, she could chase down harder, I think that would have been a clean ace, actually. Jung Prince, careful. Oh, he's got the Spiderlings. He's good.
So cheeky. So cheeky.
Hold on a second. He has flash!
Cheeky punishment! Jabbar coming in with the cheeky flash pull. There will be no...
Hold on, that's actually pretty big. They can't go Baron off that, though.
No, they can't.
It's nice to get that kill, but actually, they did use Jabbar's flash, which is very important. I don't even know if that's necessarily worth.
I think it definitely is, because it just delays their ability to set up these objectives for a good while longer. And that was just really, really great placement by Looter on the Equalizer. That is the core of that fight right there.
For sure. Touching back on that earlier Baron fight, Looter with those Rumble ultimates, I mean, he's got thousands of games. He better know how to press the R button and kind of drag it a little bit to the side to get a nice angle. That's the least you could be doing right now. And so he makes the Rumble kind of show its value. And as long as he can keep doing that, destroying the health bars of the enemy team and taking out a high priority target, freeing up pressure from Dame, and allowing this Vayne to kind of just roll through, kill everything in her path, even if he dies like last fight, he still did his job perfectly. And I think if Causation is a little more cautious and just, Dame gets that enhancement from the Lulu, I think these fights are just won if they can get such a beautiful fight like that again. But it is going to be hard to replicate that, especially with Schism being much more wary from now on, because it just happened to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be both top laners in the bot side. Teleport is not available though for Jabbar. He is available for Bad Comedy. And McMaster's trying to put up a defense at this top lane inner turret. It's a good place for them to try to mount a defense. I have a question. If you are on the side of Schism, who is scarier to see bearing down on you, Jabbar or Looter right now?
Depends if the ultimate and or flash are available from Looter. But hold on, here's the ultimate.
Beautiful, beautiful equalizer. And in goes Thought Assassin, trying to get him down onto Galileo. He is going to go down, and there goes Poppy. She does manage to get Jabbar out of that one, but Dame might be popping off your cocoon. It does hit, actually, but no QSS or cleanse. Dame, where is it?
He had the cleanse available, but just kind of saving it, saying he's safe. And overall, pretty fight, but from the standpoint of SKZA, definitely not good, as they want the momentum. They want to be dominating these fights. Going 2 kills for 3 with the kill advantage going to McMaster is really nice for McMaster, and SKZA needs to be finding picks, not just taking these big fights, because every single time Rumble gets a nice ulti and your team loses at least 25% HP, then Vayne can just clean up some of those kills, and yes, you get some in return, but it's just not worth it. And now if we look at the gold difference between this Vayne and the Varus, it has accelerated to a 1k difference, which isn't a ton, but they are 2 of the more fed members in this game, and so that is pretty notable. Just the Vayne alone being fed is extremely important. We will say that. And as you mentioned earlier, the 2-item pickup as well, having that Gwynsu's means that she's going to just shred any tanky member like the Poppy, not doing as much single target damage to the squishies as maybe a crit Vayne would, but still going to be just destroying health bars no matter squishy your tank. The Infernal does go over, though. That is important. As we did mention, Infernal's really good for McMaster.
Yeah, absolutely. So another Infernal Drake going to push things a little further for SKZA. Actually, I think they might have been hoping for that one to be a Mountain Drake, honestly, because right now they're having a tough time pushing anything. They're
yeah, I mean, we saw the Baron start too. Remember how long it took?
Yeah.
They just don't
a little
have
less now because Varus has completed the Duskblade, although...
Well, that's not really the Baron damage that they want. That's more poke damage. Yeah. Yes, he will just destroy Dame's health bar. Or, you know, if he can find causation with a Q or Dame, that would be great, because those are the squishy members that he wants to just pick off. But the Free Soul on this Varus does a decent amount of damage to objectives with his W, obviously. But he can't use his cooldowns on the Baron because he needs to save it for the fight. And he's not having that on-hit Baron damage with the Varus that sometimes when you have the on-hit build, you just melt it. He doesn't really have that.
Yeah. I think I would have liked to see the on-hit build, honestly, here to try and contest.
I don't necessarily mind it. They have a poke comp, and as long as they're able to poke these fights out, then they are okay. But they're not. They're not able to find the poke. They're not able to find the picks. They're starting the Baron to kind of bait it out, but you know, every single time they just wait until the Baron is at 8k HP, and then McMaster goes, okay, now you've lost a decent amount of your health. Now we're going to try to contest you a little bit. And SKZA is just having a tough time finding the ability to pull the trigger on these plays.
It's actually a really good stall coming out from McMasters here. They're not trying to force anything. They're saying, okay, push a lane, we'll fight you. Go for Baron, we'll fight you. In fact, Equalizer going down, Jungle Prince in a tough spot there. Harpoons going through and connecting. Drowsy, that's one. Sleepy, SKZA, but he is going to get the unburrow, and now Fies is on his own trying to find a way out of here. Here comes the rest of his team. Dame looking to get taunted, but he uses the Condemn well to get out of that. I thought they actually just going to disengage after all those ultimates being blown.
Yeah, a lot blown just left and right, and I want to say that starting that off, just going for not a large team fight, but just the kind of 1v1 by Looter there against JG Prince, I think that was a bit greedy by Looter. I think he needs to be saving his ultimate for the big ultis, like he's been finding so successfully. Play for the big team fight. Don't take 1v1 v2s or anything like that. You need to be staying grouped. That's when your team shines. That is when you have been winning these fights and coming out on top, even if just slightly. When they try to fight by themselves, when they try to make the flashy plays, that's when things are going to start going sour for McMaster. And as long as they stay patient, they have a great chance of wiggling their way back into things. But if they go for aggressive plays like that, they might end up dropping the ball and losing the game in just a second.
Really good coordination there between Looter and Causation, targeting those sweepers into different areas and making sure they're getting the wards. I really appreciate seeing that, because that means they're going to retain vision in that blue side jungle, which is really important for any attempt to try to fight. Although they don't have much vision on the Baron, in fact, there's 3 pink wards in the river of the north side just for the team of SKZA alone. That makes it hard to get in for the Baron. but having vision in your jungle gives you a good retreat route and draws them to fight inside where you already have vision.
It is worth mentioning Bad Comedy doesn't have the teleport yet. It is up shortly, though. Or not shortly, I should say. In a minute. So as long as Jabbar was timing it, he should know there's a window of opportunity. I think he wants to look for a TP flank. There isn't a too great of a ward there. There is one in his blue side jungle that he could maybe go for.
But Comedy, he's going in onto Jabbar here. I don't know if he can do this. There's the ultimate, so he's just trying to stop the ports so that they can get this inhibitor down.
Jabbar's looking for a flank. He's just going to walk over there.
Rex, I thought Assassin is there. He's unburrowing, and there's the equalizer. Jungle Prince is in the front. Pass Infinity, trying to take out these guys, but Looter's already there. Dame is dominating as he pulls in their jungler, but Fize also goes down, and that's another kill. Vayne is starting to pop off here, and that could be the absolute turnaround. That could be Baron. We might be looking at the real upset here.
And they didn't have the Poppy for disengage. They didn't have that big beefy front line. With only the, somewhat squishy-ish support Galio to tank, they just didn't have the peel that they needed, and they get rolled over. This Vayne has come online. Looter with another big ulti, and just not really respecting the timer, not looking for the picks. This is exactly what, I saw in the draft as the one, golden way that McMaster makes the plays happen, makes the win happen, and so far it looks like it's happening. They now swing into the gold lead. There is a Drake available, only a Cloud Drake, which, not the best Drake. As long as they are able to pick it up off the reset, is a nice little consolation prize as well to add on top of that one team fight with the Baron. And now they have their mid inhib, they can shove that out, not have to worry too much about that. They have a lot of options. They have the ability to make the plays. The only thing I'm afraid of is if they spread their resources too thin on the enemy side of the map. That is the one way that McMaster can really drop things right now and lose all this momentum they've worked so hard to get.
I gotta say, Jabbar in the side lane right now, this 4-1 is something that SKZA actually cannot match. Jabbar is an absolute monster. Anyone who goes to fight him is gonna have a bad time. Bad Comedy's down 2 levels. Actually, everyone on their team is down 2 levels, except for the Zoe. So this is the time for Jabbar to shine in a 4-1 split, and they're not even going to try to challenge him bot side. McMaster has complete control right here, despite being down just a tiny bit of gold.
And, yeah, there's just... things have completely swung around, and while the gold is very close still, with a 1k lead for McMaster, you gotta also remember the champions and how they utilize the gold. Vayne is so strong when she gets gold, and you can see that she's a solid 2k gold up now over the rares. There's also, Looter closing that gold difference between him and Zoe. It was a lot larger before. Now, only 2k difference as well in that mid lane, which, considering how many kills Zoe picked up, that is pretty impressive by Looter. At the same time, gold in top lane, huge lead for Jabbar. He is just a monster in the side lane, and I'm a little bit scared because Looter is off in the side lane, not grouped with the main unit, not able to get those big ultis, rather than just, solo killing somebody maybe with that electrocute. We'll have to see what he does with JG Prince here.
Cocoon does land. Here comes the Spiderling. He's going to use that shield. Equalizer does go down, and the Zhonya's Hourglass. Perfect combo, but dodged also perfectly by Jungle Prince, so that's a little bit of an awkward moment, but it does allow them to get mid lane tower.
And again, I don't really like it when Looter goes for those kind of solo plays. I think he's getting really good value when grouped together, but it does open up his mid lane for the rest of his team. I think overall it's a perfectly fine play. Just, they're going to kind of have to slow things down for a minute until his ultimate's back available. And obviously, they're just going to pick up the Drake, reset, play back.
His ult's not that long of a cooldown.
It's not. He has a lot of CDR, so he's going to be fine.
And they managed to get both of those towers, so they're actually in a tower advantage now. McMaster's ahead in every possible respect at this moment in the game, so it's theirs to lose.
I wouldn't say a lot of CDR. He's only got 10% actually, so it is still an 80-second cooldown, which, it's not too short. It's a decent amount.
It's 3/4 back up already,
Yeah, but they did have to reset and get off map for that. Kind of just wait for it to come back up. They just did other stuff in the meantime. You could have made the argument that they could have stayed mid lane, kept on pressuring if he did have it. Regardless, they're still in a perfectly fine situation. However, their Baron is just worn off. So that is a little bit of a sad moment, as they weren't able to crack any of the inhib turrets.
Yeah, but that does mean that the Elder Drake is the next one on the table. Baron won't be around for another, I think, 4 minutes, something like that. So there's no real objectives for them to catch. So honestly, McMaster just has to sit back and farm and wait for an objective to come up that they can pressure.
And that definitely would work if they're able to find the fight. The only thing that's a bit, again, repeating the win conditions. It's just big team fight, big solo damage versus the pick potential that, the team fighting is definitely better on the side of... The team fighting is definitely better on the side of McMaster. However, SKZA has a lot of single target poke, a lot of single target damage, and long range poke as well. So I am a bit scared that someone's going to get caught out because the vision isn't perfect by McMaster right here. SKZA has pretty good contesting of their own jungle. And if somebody on McMaster doesn't respect that, they could drop a kill. They could maybe force a fight after that. Things could go very sour. So you got to be careful with this Baron coming up in a minute. But so far, McMaster doing really well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And if you ask me, the success of McMaster's comes directly from Looter and Jabbar. Obviously, Dame, his mechanics on Vayne are acceptable.
I would say Dame's doing very well.
He has a lot of the kills, but I mean, I don't know if he's driving these team fights the way that Looter is.
I would say Looter's the big team fight caller, but I think Dame is also positioning very well in these fights. I mean, against a Zoe, against a Varus, it's pretty hard to not lose half your health bar from one ability. So I think that Dame is doing well as well. The credit to him on that, but I 100% agree on Looter doing a lot of work himself. His score is a bit deceptive.
The last two fights, Zoe and Varus have both been dead because Looter just killed them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I feel like he's solo carrying, honestly.
The thing is, I don't know if they'd be able to win these fights as hard. I mean, if you think about the first fight they won at the Baron, that was off of Dame just rolling over people with the Vayne after Looter started the big fight. Obviously, Looter's engaging the fights. He's doing his job perfectly. But I think there is a decent amount of credit to go over to Dame as well. And also, in the early to mid game, Dame was doing a lot of that heavy lifting while Looter was having a really rough time. So, I mean, Looter obviously much more proficient in the mid-late game. And the Rumble, bad early matchup against the Zoe, but still extremely good in the team fighting. Oh, but great apprehend.
Beautiful apprehend. Jabbar makes this happen. Dame coming in. Final hour is activated. Looter's here. There goes the Electro Harpoon and the Equalizer. Once again, beautifully pens Infinity. Here comes Dame. He's aggressive. He wants it all. He goes in. He does tumble away using the QSS. No, excuse me, the Cleanse in that instance. Always hard to tell the difference between the two. Flash and the Cleanse to get down on this. Could be looking at the game. Actually, Looter goes forward. Zonya's hourglass as well. Looked like he was going to die, but he's totally fine. Jabbar ends up taking the tower off of that one. They're pushing in. Surely it will be an inhibitor, possibly the game.
And just like that, Looter does drop there to free soul, but I don't think that's enough, as it's only 1v4, and there's a lot of damage to smack down these towers. A huge team fight, and again, just the team fighting from McMaster. They've turned around the gold, they turned around so many of these fights, and now just destroying the base of SKZA.
Oh my,
this is what they were worried about, and it's happening.
That was a beautiful teleport dive by Jabbar just to keep that minion alive that the turret was focusing. I absolutely adore that play, but here comes a return team fight. This could be it. Bad comedy going right on a Dame, but no one can touch him. This guy is untouchable. Lulu everywhere in this fight. The shields, the buffs, it's all there. Dame is now legendary. Man going ham, popping off in this fight, looking for the third kill. Not going to find it, but he will find victory in the first game.
And that is a huge statement by McMaster. Obviously, they take the win, but it is in a situation where they are out of playoff contention, and SKZA has already locked it in, and their position. So you could say, the validity of the game might be in question, but even in a scrim scenario, that's got to feel so good for McMaster, and able to pull it off in a streamed game in the league, while the league might not have as many, important results left to determine. It's still got to feel really good for them, and that's got to be a huge confidence boost at the very least, and shows that McMaster can tango with some of the bigger dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. McMaster making the statement there, and that is going to bring us into game 2 where they get to try to make that quote-unquote closing statement. We're going to send it to break, and we'll find out what they can bring next time in just a few moments. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 2, Schism versus McMasters. We're going to turn up the heat to a 9 here. I'm Starman, and running us through all of the colorful plays is Meowing Cat.
I am also Meowing Cat, joined by Starman.
There we go. So, you come off of Game 1 like that. You're supposed to be top team in the league versus bottom team. Where's the Schism mentality?
So obviously we did run through what they might be thinking before the first game, but kind of just recapping on what, they might just be thinking, oh, this isn't that important. The standings don't matter anymore. They might not be wanting to show away too many strats, especially since this is a streamed game. Their competitors might be watching. They might be saving a lot of things. And so they might not be putting in 100%. But at the same time, McMaster is getting a huge confidence boost by this, and they are playing extremely well to boot. And Schism, they did put in effort. You could see they were trying last game, but they just weren't performing on their win conditions and took too many fights on McMaster's terms.
Yeah, I have to agree. And if anything should come out of that, it should be probably ban Vayne so they don't have that late game solution. I mean, that's a thought anyway, right?
Yeah, you could do something like that. Just target out the draft, delete some of those problem champions. The Rumble being one of those. Just, yes, you did punish him very hard early. Yes, you got a good matchup. But he will always do Rumble things come mid-game. His utility, his base damage, and his kit is just extremely strong for teamfighting. And Looter, being a Rumble one-trick, essentially, having thousands of games on the champion, it just seems kind of like a very easy, hey, we could just ban that out, can't we?
And there it is. Ban number 1 for Schism, Rumble. Ban number 2 for Schism, Darius. Wow, okay, so we can prioritize exactly... Remember when I asked who's scarier to have running into your face right now? They just answered that question. Apparently, it was Looter.
Yeah, so, both of them were huge threats on their respective picks. However, this does free up a lot of the other stuff, like the Morgana hasn't been banned out yet. The Lucian, obviously a very potent first pick, which might be picked up by Schism. A lot of ADC options. Ezreal notably wasn't picked or banned in the previous game. I believe did not receive any changes on the last patch. So there's a lot of interesting things with the ADCs, kind of just, not exactly what you'd expect necessarily, but we'll have to wait and see how things are going to be shaken up in this game, And also, Cassiopeia is available. She did receive some nerfs in the previous patches, not in this most recent one, I believe. So she should be perfectly fine to take as well as a flex pick. There's a lot of options, but that Lucian just being such a staple in the bot lane is going to be what Schism goes with.
Yeah, so they're going to go ahead and change it up. McMasters, interesting to see if they prioritize. Obviously, they don't have to pick the Vayne if that's their plan. But they could first draft it if they're not too worried. I mean, they see Lucian picked out there. I don't know.
Yeah, they do have the ADC counter pick. They could wait until later, or they could just pick it now, say we want to save counter for our other lanes. They take the Tristana, and that's a very nice range matchup into the Lucian, especially later in the game with the scaling. However, early on, Lucian does have just such a strong lane that it's very support dependent. I think that if there is a strong early game support as well as a jungler to match that by Schism, they could just win the game through demolishing bot lane. That is a very likely threat that we will have to keep an eye out on. But McMaster also picking aggressive junglers to counter that and kind of just go toe-to-toe in the jungle.
So the Rek'Sai being drafted out once again. Obviously, wait, do we have a jungler swap out? Did I miss that? Hold on one moment. No, we didn't. So Thought Assassin's still playing jungle here. I was going to say, I don't think it's rushed. It's Thought Assassin on the Rek'Sai once again. That's got to be scary as well. That guy's flash and burrows were clutch.
Oh, and that blank was a Braum pickup. So that's a very aggressive bot lane. Yeah, Lucian Braum. That is what you'd want to see if you are planning on demolishing bot lane. I do expect to see a jungle pick here as well for Schism, or else their jungle pool is going to be completely gone come second pick phase. And they do go with the Elise again, which performed very well ganking wise, fell behind in farm, and then heavily fell off in the later game. But I think that with the plan that SKZA has, it's go bot lane, CC lock somebody, burst them, repeat, and just keep doing that until you win the game. And if you don't do that in time, then you're going to have a Morgana that's going to provide a lot of utility, and just super peel a Tristana who is never going to die. And also the Morgana just having the black shield against Elise Braum. That's huge.
So the blank pick you see on your screen is a graphical error. That is a Braum being locked in. So Lucian Braum bot lane. I don't even need to say how signature that is.
Yeah, that is just exactly. It is extremely strong, and that is why the Elise is just going to go down there over and over again. The Morgana Black Shield, however, does put a big wrench in that plan. I think that SKZA not banning that out, leaving that up, means that they might have trouble actually locking down this Tristana, especially because she has a jump. If she buffers that W, even if she gets stunned without the Black Shield, she can easily make it out herself. With the Black Shield, it is just that much easier. And I really do see SKZA struggling to, execute upon that win through bottom lane comp, because these two safe picks for McMaster, all it is left up to is the solo lanes and how, the Elise or the Rek'Sai will be able to influence them. Because at this point, I think SKZA definitely gets outscaled, and they're going to have trouble winning the early game. However, they will definitely not lose it, but they will have trouble winning it. And that's not what you want when you pick an early game comp, and you need to win before late game against the Tristana.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm interested, actually, that they banned out Poppy, that McMaster's banned out Poppy when that didn't seem to be a problem, although their top laner hasn't been picked yet for either side.
Yeah,
So
especially with the Darius ban, I think that they just want to get something... Yeah, I mean, just ban out one of the other safe tanks. The only thing up really is the Yorick or the Jax. Notably, the Yorick was nerfed in last patch. Conqueror was also nerfed, so that's going to be another nerf to him. I believe Jax was untouched, which, please, nerf Jax. But other than that, not too many top lane options left, with a lot of bans coming through in the second phase. The Aatrox, okay. So that was heavily nerfed in the patch before this most recent one. Hasn't been buffed up since then. It has heavily dropped in priority. Just never seen mid lane anymore. Doesn't seem too great in top lane, but against a Scion, the Aatrox does have a lot of damage, percent health damage, especially on that passive. Should be able to deal with him. And that Cassio is a lot of damage.
So the Scion being locked in against the Aatrox. Like you mentioned, Aatrox maybe not as strong as he was in the past, but...
It was the Aatrox into the Scion, actually.
Was it actually? Oh, you're right, yeah. Scion is kind of immovable.
Yeah, he's extremely tanky. And with the only one dash on Aatrox, if he dashes forward now, and he doesn't cancel the Scion... he should be able to cancel Scion Q if he's dashing forward. I would assume so. If he misplays, it is a lot easier to punish him. That is what I will say. If he wastes his dash, if his Q's on cooldown, Scion does have opportunities to now counterplay. And in the mid lane, we see two very high damage mages, but I think McMaster scales extremely hard. However, I do think that the Cassiopeia does give them a lot better of a chance getting through this game. The only distinct thing I see is a bit of a lack of frontline, with only the Aatrox and a Braum really being able to kind of tank for the side of SKZA.
Potentially what they could be thinking here is, we really didn't draft enough damage last time with the Poppy, so we'll run the Aatrox, we'll run Cassiopeia, who's more of a DPS, close range mage, and see if that works out for us. That could be what they're thinking, or it could just be that's what was left on the table after this particular type of bans and drafts and so on.
Yeah, I think that McMaster, they kind of just super scale. They will have the objective control. They have a decent amount of pick and engage with this Scion, as well as the Morgana and the Rek'Sai. Even the Vladimir, when he gets a Proto Belt, maybe Spellbinder, he can just run in and just destroy somebody's health bar. I think SKZA, they need to win early. I think that is their win condition. Every single lane they have wants to win early, save for mid lane. I think that the Vladimir should be okay. I'm not too familiar with the matchup in recent times, but The Vladimir should be safe enough with the Blood Pool. It's just SKZA. I don't know how they're going to make it happen in the bot lane with that Morgana shield, with the Tristana rocket jump. Maybe they can get some early kills on that Scion and get this Aatrox snowballing. Maybe the Elise can get fed, shut down this Rek'Sai, control the jungle, control the tempo of the game, get every lane snowballing, and at that point, I think SKZA has, they'll just run through the game. But if they can't run through the game, I think it's going to be a slow bleed, and McMaster might take a second game.
Yeah, the only thing really that hasn't changed here is the junglers. We still have the Elise. We still have the Rek'Sai, and both of these players were very aggressive in the early game, super active with their team. So if we see that same kind of aggression, we might see a totally different game setup but come 10 minutes, because you never know which direction the kills are going to go here. Like you mentioned, the bot lane, Morgana Tristana, super safe. However, Lucian and Tristana range at level 1 is pretty close to even, so that's still scary if she gets tagged with anything of the concussive blows.
Definitely is. And I mean, the thing is, with Morgana, even if you get tagged with the concussive blows, as long as you spell shield it properly, you're going to be fine on that Tristana. I'm more scared about this Morgana if she black shields early and, doesn't block the Braum passive, doesn't block the Cocoon, and then Elise just pops it, or the Cassiopeia pops the black shield, then she's completely caught out. She doesn't have a rocket jump. And at that point, then you got to kill in the bot lane. And that might be the more reliable way to gank the bot lane, especially when Morgana is stepping up, because she doesn't have a rocket jump, believe it or not. Morgana rework did not change that.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought for sure they would have given her a rocket jump. That seemed like the logical move. So then that is going to be basically... last game, we didn't talk a lot about causation. He was kind of just doing Lulu things and fell to the backline, wasn't really in the foreground of any fights. That's always the bane of playing Lulu, is you don't really get highlit. Now with the Morgana...
last game a little bit. I think that, yes, obviously Lulu does not get a lot of time to shine. I do think that there was a few mispositionings on the Lulu pick, which is kind of important and not a great sign. However, Morgana is a completely different playstyle, and with the way that causation was positioning on the Lulu, which I think was a bit incorrect, I think will pan out much better with this Morgana pick. And I think this might be something much more causation speed, especially since it was banned out last game. I'm going to assume that causation is comfortable with it. So I think that this Morgana pick, just champion and comfort wise for causation in an isolated little chamber, I think this is a definite upgrade.
That very well could be the case, and if it is, then we're going to see even stronger power coming from the bot lane. Obviously Dame, very capable AD carry, and Tristana, also a very capable champion. So he's got behind the driver's seat of the winning car, so to speak. Now he just has to drive it to the finishing line, and co-pilot there is going to be causation. And if he can get the right directions and get the correct plays between the two of them, it's going to be a one race.
It's definitely... This game is a race. It's a race of, can SKZA win the game in the early game really hard? And if not, then Slow and Steady has won, and McMaster will take the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. So, that does mean they're going to have quite a bit of a challenge there for SKZA, trying to get that ahead. So we're going to head over to break now. We get these final things set away. We'll be back in just a few moments, guys. Welcome back to the game, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2, SKZA versus McMasters. We're going to get into the action here. Well,
yeah, and if you want to run it down, unlike running it up top, we saw an attempt at going for a 5-man, which was spotted out by Jabbar, single-handedly stopping the entirety of SKZA. Huge props to him there. But if you want to give us the rundown of the blue side and introduce us to the team that is returning.
So we've got SKZA coming at us with bad comedy. Top lane, once again, Jungle Prince on the Elise, obviously comfortable. FYS on the new Cassiopeia in the mid lane. Free Soul, changing it up, going for Braum, or excuse me, Lucian in the AD carry. Pass Infinity on Braum in the support role. Flipping over to the side. We got Jabbar, as you mentioned, top side on the Cyan. Thought Assassin back on Rek'Sai, super comfortable. Looter switching it up. Still AP, but he's Vladimir this time, bringing it in mid. Dame on another hyper carry. In Tristana, AD carry. And Causation switching up to the comfortable Morgana.
Yeah, and just going over a few things really quickly already. The Tristana went Hail of Blades. Now, I'm not too... Oh, hold on a second.
It's already bot lane. They got the concussive blows go off, and the cocoon did land that time. Causation is the threat here. Ignite plus guns equals a death.
And we were talking about, Black Shield and Morgana is going to negate a lot of that ganking potential. Just gank before she has the Black Shield. Problem solved.
Yeah, just don't let her have Black Shield, and you don't have to worry about it. But you were mentioning Hail of Blades on Tristana.
Yeah, that's, now, it's not... It's taken. It's not unheard of. Generally, you see Fleet Footwork, Press the Attack, or Hail of Blades, one of the three. Hail of Blades allows Tristana to get really fast bombs off. She can, explosive charge and then just slap, 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 and then you get a really big charge off. However, it does mean that in short trades where you're not getting those 3 Hail of Blade autos off, you're not getting as much value as if, you just had sustain from the Fleet Footwork. Or a very big, elongated trade with the Pressy Attack on a tank. So this is much more just, I want to burst squishies early game, which is nice into the Lucian, although the Braum is going to be a lot easier, or is going to have an easier time dealing with this than, let's say, the Pressy Attack, for instance.
I did like seeing Jungle Prince went in there to invade after that kill. Smart move by him, and Pass Infinity helped a little bit, so he's going to be down a little in experience as well from that, but it does secure Elise's advantage here, if you can call it that, because Thought Assassin is clearing the blue side.
Yeah,
of
it's
Jungle
just going to
Prince
be vertical jungling, as it has been known. They're just going to trade jungles, and actually, Thought Assassin was able to pick up the Gromp as well, so slight, camp overall advantage. Also, the gank here from Thought Assassin.
Actually, coming in from the blue side of the map, brings the flasher from Cassiopeia. Okay, taking bets right now. He's going to gank again before Flash is up. True or false?
I'm going to say true. Definitely
Just from
gonna
past experience.
Yeah, definitely will likely see a lot of reganks from the Rek'Sai, and I like the patience from Thought Assassin. Fist was just getting right under his tower. Looter wasn't too close by, would have to burn his own flash to get damaged off. Thought Assassin could have flashed onto Fist there, but I think it is a much better play to save that flash for when you guarantee to have a better play where you don't have to burn as much.
Yeah, I
right
agree.
here, maybe.
Absolutely right. There's the flash. Unburrow, you called it 100%, and Looter trying to make that one happen. Not enough damage there. Man.
Sorry, 100% is not the hit rate of the knockup, however. He didn't make it connect. It looked like it would have. Maybe it was just right on the edge, but that is a huge mistake from Thought Assassin that costs them a kill. 2 summoners blown there, get nothing from it. That's pretty big win for SKZA.
Well,
it's more like a big loss for McMaster, I would say, actually.
Bad comedy, though, up against Jabbar up here. It's so easy to get away from Sion at this level in the game, though. So if you're losing a trade, you kind of just walk away. Provided
that's the thing. The changes to the Aatrox make it a lot harder to get away, because you don't have that double dash, obviously. So if he dashes aggressively, then you don't have as much of an escape against him. You have to go for the aggressive plays.
The lane gank. Here comes Cocoon. It does hit. Didn't look like it should have, though. Jabbar is going to flash get out of that one. actually a pretty good one, but Thought Assassin is here. Bad Comedy is low. Did they see?
Yeah. No, they haven't
Assassin?
seen Thought Assassin yet. He hasn't been spotted.
This could be really. I don't think Jungle.
I'm
Prince
keeping an eye on their vision. So far, they haven't spotted him.
He can get up in that bush, but I don't know. This might be a waste of XP.
I think he's just playing the long con. He sweeps out the bush. No, he's just gonna leave. Yeah, a bit of a waste of time, but in the end, not gonna be too much loss. Just, you know, slowing down his clear by 1 camp roughly.
Yeah, I think he was in EXP range for some of that, so he doesn't fall behind a ton, but, you know, it's little things like that. If you do too much of that, you can end up falling behind half a level or so.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be doing too many of those plays, especially on the Rex side. You want to be getting a decent lead, or staying at least even with the Elise on experience. If you can get 6 before she's, you know, getting too many levels, that would be nice. Elise isn't really that level reliant in the first place, and Rek'Sai is much more so level reliant. So obviously, Thought Assassin is going to be wanting to do a lot more of that experience gaining, whether through kills or jungle camps.
Yeah. So we see that Cassiopeia did grab that tier, so gonna get that stacking. The damage will come later, no doubt.
And Fist, if he does need to, he can also just recall, grab some Dark Seals, come back to lane, and just be a huge threat with that because of the Corruption Potion, plus the efficiency of the Dark Seals themselves. Also, Jung Prince, hovering bot side, no super important Drake, only the Cloud Drake. Not super high priority for anybody in this game. But it might be started off here, and it is. And with Elise, she does Dragon so quickly with her Spiderlings, so shouldn't be taking too long to make that thing drop.
And this is really the advantage of running the Braum Lucian bottom. It doesn't matter. There is a Petrifying Gaze directly onto Looter. So much damage, and the Ignite damage. He's going to die inside his pool. That's a huge advantage for Schism.
Yeah, a bit interesting by Looter to hold his E down, drain more of his HP away when he's dying to a burn. Just questionable. But, I mean, it's also just the comfort. He's just not as comfortable when he's not playing Rumble, right? He obviously will have some kind of same effect like last game where his team fighting is going to be much better on the Vladimir. He has a lot of utility no matter what. But it's not going to be the same kind of effect. He will amplify the damage. He will be able to kind of, you know, harass people. But he won't have that kind of slowing presence that the Rumble ulti had.
Yeah, that is correct. So this is the priority that the Braum Lucian lane gives you. They can do a lot of stuff early until Dame is ramped up and Causation has a bit more power, a longer binding and stuff like that. There's always going to be priority for the Braum Lucian lane to take control of the bot side. And Schism, unlike last game, is taking advantage of their priority bot lane.
Definitely is pretty good showing by Schism's bot lane so far. Now, they only got that really 1 kill from the level 1 gank in the bottom lane. We need to see if they're able to replicate that while there's a few levels on these champions, as Morgana now has a Black Shield, Tristan has Rocket Jump available, they have their Summoners up. And also, just being on red side itself, bot lane on red side is a bit safer because they don't have a Tri-Bush to get ganked through. Oh. Yeah, Binding stopping the Lucian dead in his tracks too. And, I mean, we do see the Elise is just not focusing as much bot lane. It's just hard to gank them without that Tri-Bush access, like it is for top lane right here, where she's able to do this.
Absolutely, Cocoon misses that time, but it may not matter. Jabbar going pretty low here, so that's going to be Resurrection coming in. Jacob Prince actually going to take a lot of damage. Nope.
Minion's not going to finish it. Oh!
Thought Assassin has to flash to avoid that, but here comes Looter. He's from the backside, flash forward. He's going to get it blood. It's not the first one, but it's enough, and possibly 2. There he is, double kill. Looter back on it with rotations.
And, I mean, we talked about how even if Looter has a rough matchup, on the Rumble, he's just going to go to a side lane, make plays happen. Same thing on the Vladimir. He's just very comfortable at looking at side lanes, looking for opportunities like this. And, oh, big trade in the bot lane.
Absolutely, that's been Dame using the Black Shield Rocket Jump to get into there. Shoal Shackles are going to go down past Infinity, trying to retreat from the Ignite here. Free Soul doesn't have enough mana to do anything. Concussive Blows laid onto Dame, but it's not going to be able to do anything past Infinity, trying to juke, but it doesn't matter. There's the Buster Shot, and that is 1 dead Braum.
And that is not what you want to see from the bot lane of Schism. They do not want to be dropping kills against the hyper-scaling Tristana with a Morgana protecting her. This bot lane needs to be getting ahead, and yes, they still have a good gold lead on the Lucian. You still see that he is a shutdown over. He does have a 400 gold lead over the Tristana, but that's going to kind of go to waste a little bit. I mean, it was considerably more before that Braum kill, as well as they're losing turret plating and a cannon in some of the wave here too.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of farm equalized. You can see Lucian leading a little bit in that. He still has quite a bit of damage. As you can see there, almost draining Dame's health bar with just one rotation of spells. Concussive blows landing on a causation, but no follow-up available. That proves they still have the priority. Lucian has Bork completed now.
Oh, and with Elise here, they're going to be forced off the tower, it looks like. Oh, causation might be in a sticky situation himself.
That was a passive Finny. He's going to apply the blows. And nice use of the stopwatch. Gonna go golden there and a flash away as well. There's no soul shackle, but Jungle Prince is once again in a bad spot. Dame walks away with a few health. Flash from Free Soul, because here's Jabbar with the teleport. This man is everywhere, and there is once again Looter. They're running them down anyway. Under the tower here, Jabbar comes away with the kill.
And SKZA just look like they're having such a rough time. The bot lane, the one lane they want to play towards, and because of that Morgana pick, can't get that reliable CC. They are on the... It's on McMaster to make misplays, and they're just playing a solid League of Legends game. And right now, SKZA Amethyst is just... They're trying to make something happen. They're trying to go for aggressive plays, which props to them on that. But because of that Morgana Black Shield, I think you need to look for something somewhere else. Because of Looter's potent roams, because of Jabbar having the teleport available, it's too risky going for it in the bot lane, and we see what happens in the end. The gold still in favor of SKZA due to that CS, due to some of those turret platings, but kills in favor of McMaster, and with the scaling composition and the nature that of the even just McMaster's playstyle. Oh, hold on a second.
What's up? There's the petrifying gaze as well as McMaster going down. Ooh, fun assassin gets annihilated. Looter's on the back foot. The sanguine pool comes out, but I don't think it'll be enough to get away here. He does pick up one kill for his trouble, though.
That is crazy. Wow.
Oh, like
Fist coming up big on the Casio, and that is... Now, the scaling of McMaster is obviously very good, and hold on a second. The early game is better from SKZA.
Absolutely, Soul Shackles are there, but it might not be enough. Ignite, tick, tick, ticking away, but there's the binding, and this guy's like Winnie Dame diving in, rocket jump, triggering the bomb right as he chucked it for a little bit of extra damage. Well played. Anything I may have said about Dame's mechanics last game, might have to eat my words.
Hey, I was fully on board the Dame train already.
Either way, topside Jabbar still trying to give Bad Comedy a run for his money here. And he's doing it decently well. The ultimate, though, ooh, doesn't quite manage to get out of the blow, so he's going to get the regen going down. Causation dies in the bot lane, trying to face check a bush. And here's Prince and Dame. So he's looking for the double. Jumping directly onto him. It's easy for the Queen of Spiders. And here comes Rek'Sai. It's a flash, unburrow, there it is. Just going to go ahead and use the ultimate. Interesting interaction. He came out petrified and dies anyway.
Yeah, he got the damage off. I believe the only thing that he dealt damage with was the blue smite. So as soon as the blue smite goes out, he's able to ulti. But because of that late ulti, he does get petrified. And, I mean, yeah, obviously it'll still go through the damage, but good turnaround by Fist again. The shutdown on the Casio is, however, much more important. And so, you know, I like that Thought Assassin is trying to shut down that Casio, but she's getting a lot of kills in the turnaround in these fights. And you do not want that Casio to be fed, as she is the real big scaling member, the kind of only late game insurance at all that SKZA has.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So, obviously, Bad Comedy should be able to split push once we get a little later with this Aatrox, but the way Jabbar is looking, I'm not sure he will be able to. Jabbar actually having access to less gold overall, but more kill participation seems to be better for him.
And, I mean, right now, we got to take note of the items, right? the Cassiopeia has completed 2 full items compared to Looter only on his 1 item. You see the Tristana, she got the completed Infinity Edge to the Lucian's Blade of the Ruin King. Bigger spike for the Lucian. Supports, itemization, they don't have anything important completed. Junglers, nothing important completed. But
Here
overall, big power to Schism, and they want to take fights now.
3v2, Thought Assassin, concussive blows are there, gonna funnel that onto Free Soul. Definitely respect that. That might be top tower going down.
And this is just Schism finding the picks they need. They're getting that bot lane at least, you know, involved in some plays. Mostly Fist is holding his own, slowing down a lot by himself. And Chung Prince getting a nice amount of plays, you know, just making stuff happen with the bot lane. They're getting towers. They're getting Herald here. They have 2 Drakes. So far, Schism is looking much better so in this game.
It was actually a really good play by them. Once they got the Drake off the map bot side, they instantly moved their powerhouse, that Braum Lucian lane, up to the top lane to grab both the Herald and the tower. I really like this one, and now they're rotating the mid, now that there's no other objectives, and they're probably going to grab that mid tower while we're watching Bad Comedy and Jabbar fight here. So there's a return, here comes Mr. Herald. Bump, knocking at the door. That Cocoon almost landing onto Dame. That could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, but this Herald's getting a lot of value right now. Is going to be stopped there finally, but does get half of the mid lane inhibitor turret and watches bot lane fight going on.
Jabbar getting all in by Bad Comedy here. This could be not as good, might not be what he wanted, but it's so fun. The flash actually is going to come out, but the return from Bad Comedy is going to win him that. In comes Looter, though. Flash forward. There's a Hemo play going down. It's going to be enough to get the damage out onto that Lucian. Past Infinity. Not going to survive this either. Thought Assassin coming away with the price gold there.
Yeah, Jabbar got a little bit too hyphy there. Generally, flashing under enemy tower is not the best idea. But in the end, while everyone kind of went down to deal with Jabbar thinking he was going to live and, you know, not do something crazy like that, Free Soul and Past Infinity were left open, and the rest of McMaster pulls the trigger on the Schism bot lane and finds themselves some nice kills, puts a little bit of a wrench in the plan of Schism. And again, I think the later things this game goes, the better it is for McMaster. The only thing they need to really be cautious of is 1, pick potential, and 2, the Cassiopeia becoming extremely fed and outscaling before they're able to reach their late game items. Because I would say that Cassio, you know, matches a lot of these late game champions that McMaster has. The only thing is that they only have the 1 Cassio to the Vladimir and the Tristana in comparison of carries. So I think, you know, 2 bigger number than 1, I would say edge to McMaster in the scaling. But if Cassio scales up harder first, you know, quality over quantity is what I'd go with at that point.
Yeah, I have to agree. Quality is always better. Jabbar and Bad Comedy, I don't know, will be killing each other much more. They seem just more or less farming. I don't think they can deal enough damage to each other. Well,
yeah,
the rest of the
Black
maps...
Cleaver on Bad Comedy is going to make it a little bit easier to deal some damage. He mostly just needs a teammate there to do that, though.
Yeah. Braum is that teammate potentially. Making his way
Still not going to be a
downtown.
lot of damage. They will have a lot of crowd control, but...
What are you talking about? Braum does all the damage. The guy has a door. I'd say swinging a door is probably really powerful.
But the door has, like... Oh, that is a dragon door. Yep. It is probably a high rarity door.
Yeah, that's the finest doors right there.
We just got word that the production that deals with a lot of the lore stuff has actually said Braum's door is one of the most powerful things in League of Legends, so you do have confirmation on that.
Obviously, you saw him you saw him slay the dragon there with the dragon door. It all makes sense in the lore if you don't pay attention to it anyway. So
Getting
anyway,
things back on track, yeah.
moving on to the important parts of the game, IE completed for Tristana. Also has the Berserker Greaves, going to be putting out some damage shortly, as if she wasn't already. Lucian, on the other hand, Executioner's Culling. So that's going to be hung on to
very
for quite
big
some
deal with the
time.
Vladimir. I will say,
Absolutely.
in team fights, that is definitely going to hurt this Vladimir most notably. There's also some other scattered sources of healing on other champions, but that's the big one. And you know, if Looter is now going in a team fight, he's going to be struggling a lot more than he was before, and so he might be trying to do some more, you know, isolated side laning rather than just grouping up and team fighting as much. We'll have to see what the game plan is exactly from the side of McMaster, but so far, just slowing things down and getting farm on that Tristana is extremely important, as she just picked up her second completed item. That rapid fire cannon is going to be doing some work in these fights.
She just full bought that too, so she's saving up all her 80
No. She had a brawler's glove.
Right,
had a brawler's glove.
She had a brawler's creep, so I mean, I guess I can't really say that either way. Baron now on the table here for SKZA. Oh, actually, you're really doing by causation there to start the Baron. Past Infinity, he's going to take a lot of damage from that. Teleport's available for both of these top laners, although they are in the bot lane right now. They're just kind of duking it out. Jabbar on defense duty for that tower. The score has been 9-11 for a long time.
It's not a conspiracy, but the Baron is being started, excuse me. And with the Cassiopeia, with the Elise, they melt this Baron, and no real spot out. Now Thought Assassin knows, but the... Oh!
Petrifying Gaze is there. That's going to keep him away, but here comes Thought Assassin. He's in! He steals it! Second time! One for each game. Baron goes over to McMasters, and this could change the momentum.
Yeah, last game he stole an Infernal Drake. This game he stole the Baron. And that is huge. Again, Thought Assassin on point with those smites. And Jung Prince, it's a bit interesting that, you know, with an Elise, you have a pretty good smite. And getting out-smited is a bit rough, at the very least. But, you know, not taking anything away from Thought Assassin. Very well played by him. And also, trading kills even there. Just overall, this is great for the side of McMaster. Oh, Jabbar.
Bad comedy. I don't know if that's there.
Wait a minute.
Excuse me? Either way, Elise was there, but that was a good escape there for Jabbar, just ignoring the bait.
I really do respect his awareness of the situation, realizing he was going to be dove if he didn't recall there. It was a bit of a funny situation to watch, but, you know, in the end, not going to mean too much. But now it is all about the Baron. How is it going to be utilized by the side of McMaster? And so far, there's a lot of outer charts left available in the top and mid lane. Only bot lane outer being taken by McMaster. So SKZA has a lot to lose. McMaster, they have the power. They have the ability to make plays for a little while. And Tristana, she's reaching a very large item breakpoint when she gets that third crit item. Even just with that that extra zeal, it does a lot of work for her. So we do need to keep a close eye on this carry, as she can just start popping health bars with that. I believe she's at 65% crit chance right now. Yes, she is.
Yeah, I have to say, having a jungler really good at smite stealing is valuable for exactly this reason. And I think they're just using the Baron to stall. As long as this game goes on, like you mentioned, Vladimir, Tristana, they get stronger. Does Vladimir get stronger than Cassiopeia? That's debatable. But still, having those champions get stronger as it goes on is really important. Causation there. Look at the damage. Speaking of Cassiopeia scaling, Zonya's having to be used by causation to avoid dying to poison. And there's the flash in from Thought Assassin. Gets the disrupt there. Ultimate from Bad Comedy.
Now hold on a second. While this is all going down in the top lane, Looter is smacking away at a turret with some of these Baron minions. And so it's kind of a clock ticking on right now. Bad Comedy's resetting to match it. But they are going to lose that top inner tower. Now, Looter doesn't have teleport. He can't contest for this air drake. However, they might just say, hey, have the triple air drake. We don't really care that much.
Now, triple air drake. Never mind, Cocoon lands there. That's going to be one grounded looking Rek'Sai. In goes Tristana. That was not the right play. And he absolutely shredded to bits. Meanwhile, topside Looter is going to drop the Hemo Plague there. There is the teleport. That's going to be Jabbar coming in. They're going straight for the inhib here. This could be the play. Backs are in order. Are they going to get stopped? And if they don't, is it even going to be enough anyway? Lucian is back.
Jabbar could
Bad
just
comedy
die
here,
though. Oh, he should just go for the inhib. Just go for... Oh.
He's going to try to use this double flash forward, though, from Free Soul. That is going to keep him there, and they're going to take him down. He does try to make the attempt to go for the inhibitor. It's not enough. I don't know about that.
He could have just stayed for the inhib at that point, but in the end, they do get the air drake on the side of SKZA. They have the triple air drake. That is a lot of movement speed. It is really nice to have on the Cassiopeia, notably, because, you know, you can't build boots on her. This does give her some of that extra movement speed. Even in combat now, you get a little bit extra movement speed, so it's going to help her get that little extra edge in kiting. Also, just in that early positioning, not getting caught out, she's going to have a nice, hefty amount of movement speed out of combat. And now, the counter siege, with that Scion still dead, they should be able to pick up a chip on this mid-inhib tower. Maybe pick it up, they get a few more autos.
Nice binding there onto Elise. The interesting thing here is last game was an absolute bloodbath, but here we've got 12 kills at 26 minutes, and mini turrets gone, much more objective based. And the cocoon actually lands onto Jabbar. It's not going to matter. Jungle Prince is on a rampage. Damn, trying to match him kill for kill, but it's going to be the Spider who walks away with 2. Braum, the only fallen member of SKZA.
Yeah, and they were just not fighting grouped together. Looter wasn't in that fight. Now a 3v4, and it looks like SKZA's going to try to end.
They could. There's a flash. Cocoon directly onto Damn. He flashes away. Buster shot as well to get a little more distance cleared from him, but that's one turret going down. Lucian is there, still alive, putting out the damage on these towers. They are not caring about kills. Emo play goes down. That's when Looter looking for the kill for the turnaround, but he himself is extremely low now. Flash forward. That's when he is trying to make the kill, but he's not damaging anyone enough. He's actually going to go down himself, although he does take out Dame with him. And now Jabbar, the ghost of Jabbar, chases them all off. This will not be the end of the game.
Yeah, Causation and Thought Assassin just respawned. Health bars are too low, but in the end, open Nexus. They don't have anything up. They're respawning after the Baron is coming up, essentially. So, I mean, Fist isn't going to be there in time, obviously, but Looter isn't going to be there either. It looks like it's going to be an easy Baron take by SKZA, especially because if there's an attempt to contest by McMaster, they could just run it down mid lane and end through the open base. So, just a really, really huge push by SKZA, and while not necessarily the end of the game, it is basically death's doors right now for McMaster in the second game. Remember that they are still 1-0 in this series so far, so if they lose this game, this goes to a third game, and they still technically are in the game. I mean, with a Tristana, with the amount of scaling they have, if they're able to keep the entirety of SKZA away from their Nexus, they could potentially just keep stalling it out over and over again, although they need to make sure they are fighting grouped together and not scattered like previous few fights.
I have to agree, as the elements of McMasters pull themselves together here at the dire straits that they are in, trying to put together that one fight that can maybe catalyst their return to momentous victory.
Yeah, and at this point, the Halo Blades Tristana is definitely falling off compared to a Fleet Footwork, which would give her that extra movement speed or sustain, or the Press the Attack, which would help her shred the tanks. But
Baron already halfway down.
Can you make it happen again?
He's going in for a second. He does it again! Unbelievable! Thought Assassin does it twice in a row! And he might even make out with a kill. He doesn't. He pays for his life. But this man is unspitable. You cannot take anything from him.
Yeah, the only thing is they lost so many members.
They did lose quite a few members here. And Free Soul still trying to push away Causation. Trying to find a way out of that one. He's not going to be able to. And Dame is now trying to find his way out. Jabbar, unstoppable onslaught, gets him out of there. Teleport coming in. The smite might not have been enough with the loss of Looter.
Yeah, they lost too many members, didn't get any kills. Looter notably dying without really succeeding in anything. And Dame's going to try, but
he does get the one kill. It's not going to be enough. They're going to focus the Nexus, and we're going to be going to game through. SKZA coming back strong.
Thought Assassin is great at smiting, but the fight afterwards left a lot to be desired. They threw member after member trying to get kills, and, you know, it was good, but it just wasn't. It was a good idea, just not the execution that was needed, I would say.
I would have to agree, and that leads us to straight into Game 3, which we'll be getting into in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last game between SKZA and McMaster. Here we are, the end of the line, or beginning of the end of the line, right?
I mean, hey, it's all tied up now. You could consider this a best of one and just start it fresh right here.
That's absolutely correct. And I mean, you mentioned mentality, but at this point, mentality may just be, I want to win.
Definitely. I mean, you got to just think about these teams. And obviously, McMaster, they came in swinging game one, and they felt good getting that win. But now you got to think they're also a bit demoralized taking that loss from SKZA. And SKZA, they're like, okay, we let them have their fun. We're going to try to clean things up. They're obviously going to be heading in here with a little bit ego, like they might have in the first game. So, I mean, all bets are off, I guess. I'm here for the ride at this point.
Absolutely. I really want to see where this one goes. And it does really come to the draft for a lot of this. SKZA, game one, didn't draft a whole bunch of damage. Game two, ton of damage. And, that seemed to really work for them. So, I don't know. Do you ban out the Cassiopeia? I don't really think so. I don't think there was any particular champion that was necessarily the problem here.
Yeah, definitely the Cassio was strong. With the blue side, I don't think that... I don't think McMaster wants to play it, so I definitely think the Cassio isn't a horrible ban. They could go for it. I mean, it was left until the last rotation again, so it could have been one of those other bans instead of, let's say, the Silas, for instance. I think that he's able to be dealt with a little bit easier, or the Poppy. I definitely don't think the Cassio should have been left up. Other than that...
They could have just been afraid that they had so many powerful ultimates that, you don't necessarily want to give Silas a draft of really good ultimates to choose from.
I mean, I wouldn't say their ultimates are necessarily insanely strong. They're definitely good. Tristana ulti, Morgana, Rek'Sai, Sion, Vlad. They're good. It's... But is it worse than a Cassio? I think that... and definitely the Poppy could have been left up. I think they could have dealt with Poppy, so... Take away the Cassio next time, please.
Yeah, I think you're right. And exchanging the Poppy ban for the Cassio ban might be the way to go.
But that's old draft. We're in the new draft. New day. New series. Best of one. And SKZA, just... Okay, I said it was all new, but the bans are the same mold from last game. The exact same, actually, with the Lissandra. And again, that does leave up the Lucian... Ezreal hasn't been picked at all this series. I guess the ADCs just don't play it, but it is such a popular, powerful pick that it is a bit surprising that no one has even just taken it when everything else is kind of banned out.
See McMasters, though, snatching the Cassiopeia away from SKZA. That's an interesting tactic. Rather than banning it, they're just like, hey, you know what? We could use that.
And it makes sense. The Cassio is extremely strong. And obviously McMasters is comfortable playing for a late game. Plus, it is a very flexible pick. They can throw it in any which lane they decide. I am definitely with it. I'd say as long as they utilize the flex, get a good matchup, they should be fine.
So once again, the Braum Lucian going for that priority bot lane. This does mean you're going to be looking out for those early dragons, early priority by the jungler once again.
And as long as they make sure they have answers to the bot lane, like the Morgana or the Tristana again, I think McMaster can be fine with that. I think the Cassio is the bigger problem. I think they also need melee champions to synergize with the Sejuani. So as long as McMasters can get some of that, they have a pretty solid draft. Obviously, SKZA has an insanely strong bot lane again. I think the Morgana would do very well into them. I think you could also go...
I like the Kled. I like that a lot.
Definitely an interesting pick, to say the least. This does hurt the flexibility of the Cassio. It could still go bot lane into the Lucian. It's not a horrible matchup, but it is very risky playing Lucian or Cassio into Lucian Braum, especially without the Morgana picked up yet. And heading into the second ban phase, you got to think that Morgana is going to be banned away. I don't think the Kled was this high priority. It hasn't been picked or banned in any of the games. I think there was just better stuff to take here. Now, the the Elise wasn't opted into by Schism. Instead, they go for the Kayn, which is they just want some kind of heavy damage jungler. But yeah, the Ezreal takeaway that removes the kind of safety. If they ban out the Tristana too, I don't think there's any high mobility AD carries left at that point. They could ban the Morgana instead, and then just take, leave the Tristana up, say we'll deal with that. But I don't understand picking Kled this early. I'm a little bit confused by that, but because they could have just taken Morgana, right? They want Morgana here. Help me, Starman. They want Morgana here, right?
I don't think they do, because it's not on the table.
Yeah, I mean they could, but instead of the Kled, just think about taking Morgana here.
I don't know. It depends.
Then you can flex your Cassio pick into 3 lanes. You don't give away anything with your draft, really. You can still take whatever lane you want in top, mid, or bot. Just make sure the Cassio flexes to one of them. You get the Morgana. You can nullify that Braum level, or the Braum passive a lot. Just the CC. There's a lot of CC on Schism. Morgana's good against that. Very questionable, to say the least.
I don't know.
It leaves a lot to be desired, is what I'm going to say.
I think Kled is decent pick there. They don't want to totally give away their bot lane. They're hoping for the support pick. Or not the support pick, excuse me, but to see who that top laner is, because that does actually give you some indication of what you want to do for the bot lane. And now it looks like it's probably going to be Cassiopeia bot, which means then your support options open up drastically.
Yeah, the only problem here is Cassio immobile against the Lucian Braum without the Morgana now. I think the Morgana is the best option, and they could have picked it third. They probably would have still gotten the exact same draft, just with a Morgana instead, and it just seems like the off time to pick Kled, and now they're going to be taking a Leona, which is very aggressive, and I have a bit of a problem with that. If they can lock down the Braum, sure, but I mean, if they're going for the Lucian, the Braum can eat a lot of the Cassiopeia Twin Fangs. Obviously, she still does good damage with her poison. She can max the Q, kind of just poke the Lucian and Braum. It was nerfed a few patches ago, though, so... And that last pick we will have to wait on to see what it actually is. It looks like an Orianna.
So there's going to be Orianna in the mid lane. Which, does that mean Kled mid or Riven mid? What do you think? I mean...
I have seen some Kled mids into Orianna. It's... I mean, the thing is, Shen definitely has a good matchup into Kled. That's for sure. If we look at Riven v Shen, I think that it's a little bit less one-sided. I think that Shen can still manage the Riven perfectly fine, but it's not like he can just block all of her stuff like where he can block all of Kled's. I want to pull it up just statistically to see what it would be. It does look like Shen actually does have a negative win rate, just pure solo queue, which obviously doesn't indicate anything for competitive play, but matchup-wise, probably isn't too great for Shen. And so, I mean, as long as Looter plays the Kled mid, I could see it working out.
Yeah, it could. I mean, Riven mid would be terrible. I mean, the big matchup here, I think, is Orianna. I think that's where you want to focus, because Shen is going to do Shen things. So the focus is which one of these champions goes better versus Orianna. And if you can figure that one out, then I think it's just too bad for whoever has to face against Shen, because that lane's probably not going to be fun. But Kayn versus Sejuani is where we're going to see, I think, again, a lot of the differences here. Sejuani is closer to Rek'Sai than Kayn is to Elise, so we could see the same kind of playstyle come out for Thought Assassin here. I think he's just a little more tanky, a little less damage side is all. So I'm expecting to see more heavy ganks from him and potentially better team fighting over.
that is something we'll have to keep an eye out on. Also, it does look like the Riven's going top lane with Jabbar picking it so far. They could swap it around, obviously, but I think it's a better top lane matchup for the Riven. I think that the Kled has really good sticking potential, actually, on the Orianna, and with level 6, with jungler assistance, could go for some heavy kills because she can't shockwave him out of the ultimate. And Kled Sejuani is a very good ganking duo, actually. You know, he could go to a side lane, run down there with ulti with Sejuani. He can get Sejuani to have her E stun up extremely fast. So even without her, you know, ultimate landing necessarily, they can also still stun people extremely fast because of the Kled W. It's a very good duo with the Kled Sejuani. They should be able to kill Orianna easily post 6. The only problem is pre-6 for the Kled. And the bot lane is a big question mark for me. I like the Cassio bot lane. I'm not sold on the Leona. I like the Riven top lane. Overall, McMaster's decent draft. I just wish they would have picked Morgana instead of Leona. I wish they would have just picked it instead of Kled there, picked Kled later.
I do have to say, the Leona pick is kind of odd. I mean, it doesn't really work great with Cassiopeia. It can be used for Peel, but Braum Lucian is a lane that just kind of runs over that because Cassiopeia is not going to supply damage quite to the point that they're hoping.
For sure. But in the end, I mean...
It looks, okay, this is going to be Kled mid, I do believe, if I'm reading this correctly.
I mean, they can swap it around, obviously, but I would bet Kled mid. It's a better matchup for the Riven in the top lane. I think the Kled has a better time into the Orianna as well. I think that, especially level 6, much better ganking in the mid lane with the Kled. He could also roam to the side lanes with his ulti post 6. Just overall better. So, and I'm not against this draft either. They have a good spread of magic damage, mixed damage. Everything is like, I really like the draft of McMaster, but the third pick Kled. If they would have saved it for later, I would have been like, I love your draft. Like, props, huge props. Now it's just very mediocre, and it leaves a big glaring weakness of the bot lane. SKZA Amethyst, extremely strong bot lane. They have the Kayn, who can do some unorthodox ganking paths, really punish this Cassiopeia. And if Cassiopeia, Dame, and Causation can't make the outplays happen, can't get aggressive with the Leona, you know, it's just gonna, they might just drop too many kills, feed a little bit too hard to the Lucian. He could just start popping people, get that Black Cleaver, get that Blade of the Ruin King, just run through the tanks on the side of McMaster, and that could be the game. So I think it's a bit of a misdraft, a slight misdraft on the bot lane of McMaster that might, like, it might heavily impact the game. That's why I'm kind of harping on about the same little thing so much, because I think it has huge implications. The difference between a Leona that, you know, you can't really lock down Lucian because he has the Braum peel. You can't really lock down Braum because he's pretty tanky, you know, versus a Morgana who can give a black shield to a Cassiopeia and keep someone locked down for Cassiopeia at a free hit. I'm just a little bit question mark on that whole thing.
Well, we'll have to see exactly how many question marks are pinged when we finally do get into the game. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with all the action. Don't go anywhere, guys. And welcome back to Game 3, McMasters versus SKZA. Winner takes all. Well, not really all, but close enough. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, this game, final game of this series, it's a do-or-die moment for both teams, although it's already been done or dead. Notably, SKZA already qualifying for playoffs, and McMaster not. But, you know what? This series, it holds a lot of value in our hearts. Both teams have been putting their hearts into it. We've been here for a long time, 2.5 hours, just slugging through this series, and blow for blow, we've been through it all. It's ending here and now.
Yeah, it almost makes you wish it was a 5-game just because there's so much potential for back and forth. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see how that turns out, but we're going to have just the 3. And so that puts everyone kind of on the line, and McMasters with a atypical draft here. Kled mid, Cassiopeia bot side. I'm really interested to see Dame in Cassiopeia.
It would be interesting to see. Dame has performed fairly well on the Vayne. The Tristana, a bit questionable with the jumping forward at some points. But Cassiopeia doesn't have a jump, so honestly, you know, shorter dash on the Vayne, wasn't able to jump as far forward, wasn't able to kill himself as much. Cassiopeia not having a jump at all might be the key.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It could be just, you know, holding them back a bit. And regardless of anything, Dame has showed consistency throughout the series, so I have confidence that he's going to be able to perform the way he needs to on the Cassiopeia as well. And Kamini and Jabbar taking it in the top side here. Jabbar has arguably won both lanes so far, but Bad Comedy has been playing kind of a different game either way, so can't necessarily attain a more valuable factor to one player or the other.
Yeah. So far, everything in this game is starting pretty standard. Jabbar getting slow pushed in, kind of just waiting till the wave is near his tower. And it is notable to see Jung Prince up here right now. He might look for a path through the wall onto the Riven, but she is fairly safe under her tower, so might have just kind of gotten a really rough pathing here. Might actually see some brawling, actually, with both junglers here. Nope.
Thought Assassin picked out, or not picked out, but spotted. And Looter, once again, at Fizz's throat. Fizz has already used all of the potions available to him. That just shows you how frustrating this can be. And there's Young Prince. Ooh, actually a small mistake, but it doesn't matter because his Thought Assassin is here. Red buff, double buffs on both these champions. Fizz is there, Kled is not. But here's Jabbar, and he might actually get caught out here in a 2v1 situation. A lot of skirmishing here. They come back in. Jung Prince dodging around. This could be first blood. The auto attack cancellation, and Prince is going to be there to pick up the first one. Flash for Flash. Fizz is there as well. Jabbar does not want to let it go. Command Protect comes in, and it's absolutely clutch, but not clutch enough. Kill for kill. 2 for SKZA.
And SKZA just getting that early game lead right now. 1k gold, 2 kills to 1. I mean, that's exactly what happened last game, and they were able to make it happen, close out the game with a pretty similar comp too. I'm actually really happy with the comp that SKZA has. We didn't talk too much about that because I was just harping on a lot about the draft of McMasters, excuse me. Yeah. Took me a second there. I wanted to call them McMahon. We were talking about wrestling earlier on. It just it went too far. But the composition for SKZA is really good at just destroying teamfights when they want to. Oh, hold on.
Great pick under the tower, past Infinity. It's actually be forced to take tower shots there.
But touching back on the comp, there's a lot of engage potential with the ball on a Shen. You can just 5-man wombo. You know, you have a decent amount to follow up with the Braum. He can have the Glacial Fissure. The Lucian has decent DPS too. And, you know, as long as you don't fall behind, you can just destroy them, right? If Sejuani's not tanky enough, if Kled's not tanky enough, if Leona's not tanky enough, you pop them. However, if you do not get this lead, if you do not maintain the goal difference that is currently going Schism's way heavily, you do fall at risk of the Sejuani, the Kled being too tanky to kill because you don't have a traditional ADC. You know, you don't have a DPS mage like the Cassiopeia. You instead only have the Lucian and the Orianna, which have great damage, but a lot of it is much more burst-centered.
Pretty accurate analysis there. And Jabbar, you can see the trades up here, just barely going Jabbar's favor. And actually a lot of ward coverage for Jabbar. There's 2 wards, but he's a scuttle, and then the ward there in the bush in the river. So he's actually fairly safe where he's at. And you do see Jungle Prince in the bottom bush there. We've seen this from both junglers. They're willing to sit in that bush for a little while with these lane ganks, and I really admire that patience.
For sure. I think that if you are... Oh, level 6 Kled.
If you're level 6 Kled, you do this. He's going right in. Here is the assassin well. Command Shockwave goes through. The Shen does arrive on the scene just in time. Stand united, they will. And Looter's trying to get the kill, but he won't. Double kill for Fizz.
Ouch. Ouch. That is now a fed Orianna. That was the one chance you had, Looter, to get that kill on the Orianna. And Shen dinging 6 there, able to get the ultimate, able to get the Spirit's Refuge. And, you know, after the Stand United on top of Fizz meant that the auto-attacking from the Kled is just a non-factor. And, you know, with the Cassio in the team fights, it's not going to mean nearly as much. The Spirit's Refuge on the Shen is going to block that ability power. But right now, in the early game, with, you know, this Shen able to do a lot against the Riven, the Kled, even the Sejuani trying to auto-attack to get her E stacks, this Shen does so much at this point in the game. And Orianna getting fed. Remember how we talked about if you're ahead of that curve, you're going to pop those people, even if they're supposed to be tanks, while if you fall behind, you're not going to be able to get through them? I think she's at the point where she's going to start popping people.
Yeah, I definitely think so. The focus there was real hit or miss, and I guess they never hit, at least this time around. It's an unfortunate turn of events for them that puts McMaster's really on the back foot around this mid lane. Looter especially, once again starting off in a poor lane. All 3 games he's had rough in the laning. He's going to have it rough again. We'll see if he can pull through. There's Leona going long for the stun, and they are grounded as well. Pass Infinity does get the stun off. That's the Ignite as well, used on to causation. Flash goes down. Twin Fangs dishing out damage, but not quite fast enough at this stage of the game. And Free Soul maybe not done here. Oh, there's a flash forward ult for Braum. Pass Infinity is putting out all of the shields there, but he's low as well. Twin Fangs is there. They have ward coverage. That's going to be Dame picking up a kill. Oh, the petrifying gaze goes out, but Free Soul wasn't looking in the eyes. I guess he learned how to deal with a serpent-headed woman.
And that's also pretty sad that Causation picks up the kill onto Pass Infinity and not Dame. You know, Cassio really wants to get that kill goal to get snowballing. And right now, still huge gold lead for the side of Schism. It's good to see there's a bit of fighting back and, you know, kicking alive from the side of McMaster, but they need to be just... They need to make sure they are not bleeding the early game as hard as they did last game, because if they don't, they scale pretty well, right? You got a huge front line. You have no real huge tank killer on the enemy team like a Vayne or a Hyper Crit carry, and so just stall this game out. Make sure you aren't bleeding anything too hard. Fight and force when you have good opportunities. That is crucial. They don't want to just stay even, because then they're going to lose too many objectives. But if they can find a few fights here and there and slowly inch their way forward and slowly start taking the objectives, that is ideal. Losing a few early objectives isn't going to end the game for them. However, Earthdrake is going to be really important to watch, as now that does increase the pushing speed as well as the Baron speed of this Schism team.
Yeah, I think the only exception there is Cassiopeia is going to actually scale harder than Lucian. Not in terms of damage, but access to fight. Lucian has less access to fights typically later in the game, whereas Cassiopeia still has decent access. But here is Looter actually get hit with the command Shockwave. Is just running him down. There's the flash. Ignite goes down, and here comes the assassin. All but Jungle Prince is here as well. Stand united. It's a 3-man to mid. Jungle Prince caught underneath the tower is going to use the ultimate there. still taking a lot of damage, but he might make it out as here comes Braum up from the bot side. We do have Causation here with us. Solar Flare is available.
Yeah, and in the end, it does look like Schism's gonna come out on top again, and a bit questionable by Looter to turn around and ignite there. I mean, they have the Shen ulti. Orianna has a cleanse. If she gets Sejuani ulted and ignited, she cleanses both of them at the same time, so overall, just a lot of little things adding up, and this Orianna is now a huge threat. Yes, if they can shut her down, it makes things a lot easier. It swings things back in their favor. Or not in their favor, it just slows the bleed a little bit. But right now, it's just rough. Look at the turret platings, excuse me. It is 2 left for the side of Looter, while Fist has all 5 left.
Bad company. Trying to make his way now out through the jungle. Flash for Bar, it's going to be the stun. Swiffer Duster going to come in here in just a second. There it is, and the Thought Assassin picks up the assist. That's Jabbar making himself a killer. Here's Looter trying to get one over on Jung Prince, but there's the command Protect. And as soon as Orianna enters the fight, you don't want to be there.
Definitely. This Orianna is just so huge right now. They can kill her. She's still a squishy, but she can kill everybody on your team as well, so you have to be extremely careful.
Causation using the Full Flare directly on Braum. This actually could be really good. Twin Fang is there. They can kill him. And actually, the Petrifying Gaze hits this time around as well. She is going to get the double kill. Deem is on fire.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Hold on. Not going to connect exactly. Oh.
No. Good juke going around, but Ice Bullet does connect. Looter's there. Command Shockwave pulls them all off, but the chain does stay. Thought Assassin actually deadly low here. The ball comes through. Distortion is enough.
And Looter's ultis really do need to connect with Fist, as if they don't, that means that Thought Assassin is going to have to use the Glacial Prison before the first stun comes through. And if you use the Glacial Prison, you can't get a second stun with the Sejuani E for a bunch of lockdown. Hold on a second, though. Jung Prince getting really aggressive. Maybe too aggressive.
I think so. Oh, the tower magically dropped aggro there. That is shenanigans of Kane's nature, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely some goofy plays happening here. But, ooh, Looter not getting a connect. But besides the whole mid lane thing, I was talking about how Causation is never going to be able to lock down Free Soul because Past Infinity is going to block it all. But I was talking about how if they were able to lock down the Braum, you know, then they could kill him. But he's too tanky. No, they just melted him like butter. And they burned through the Braum and then went for the Lucian. Exactly like they needed to. Great play by the bot lane of McMaster, but hold on a second. Here's another play in the bot lane.
Thought Assassin is on to Past Infinity. There comes the Glacial Fissure, but Leona's once again locking down Braum, and the Sunlight debuff adds so much magic damage there. It really is crazy.
Yeah, especially with Cassio Poison ticking constantly. I think she will proc every single one of them, essentially. So that is just wonderful to have. And right now, Thought Assassin a bit low. Probably just going to be able to reset, start clearing, looking for some control on that Drake. But mid lane tower is dying in the in favor of Schism. And so that's, again, the gold lead is still fairly large. But there is a huge thing that is wonderful for the side of McMaster, and that is Dime doing amazing in the bot lane with Causation too.
Yeah, they
and
really do have...
Well, but he's going to be finding some trouble here.
Yep, there's the taunt through onto Jabbar, trying to find his way out of this one. Oh, nice sweeper to let him know where he's going. He's actually going to make it all the way through. Taunt's coming up soon, but not soon enough. Jabbar sneaking away.
Yeah, nice little slippery escape by Jabbar. And this Riven is also doing fairly well. She did have a rough time with the CS. There is definitely a gold lead for the Shen because of those, you know, Stand United assists. But Riven is holding her own, and after she starts picking up some more gold, she will be able to start having pretty heavy teamfight presence too, and another solar...
That's an unfortunate flash forward there by Causation to try and get onto him. But a canny jump.
An ulti for a flash isn't bad, though.
I don't think... Past Infinity didn't flash.
Oh, never mind. I'm just mentally lagging.
Causation flashed.
It was really bad.
it was a flash and an ultimate for Braum W.
I see. It was just extremely bad, not just meh.
Either way,
It's been too
no
long
mana
of a night.
available really for causation anyway, so on the downside. It does have Hex Flash.
Yeah, the
Maybe
Hex Slash will kind of make up for that a little bit, but they will still have to reset for the mana in the bot side. It is also pretty cool to see the Cassia is getting a lot of turret damage dealt. This Red Cane, though, will start up the Drake with that reset going down. And we'll have to see if Thought Assassin's going to go for another steal. I have had too many for today.
Yeah.
It's only a Cloud Drake. He might just concede it. Yeah, I
Here
think
comes
this is
Kled.
smart.
Kled goes topside. He's diving the tower here. It's Jabbar and Looter. They're trying to find a way onto him, so there is the Steed. He's unholstered from his Steed. I didn't even notice that the
really
Cloud
good.
was Kane, yeah?
Yeah. Overall map play by McMaster. They realize, hey, they're going to go for the Cloud Drake off our reset. This is okay. We can make a play in the top lane. We have enough to do it. Thought Assassin doesn't risk it for the Smite steal. He's just trying to stay here to keep the bot lane alive. TP is up by Jabbar, but he is too low, but he's going to be recalling in a second.
There comes a Hex Flash, actually directly towards Kane. Beautifully done. Solar Flare on 2. They're both going to be down. No one's touching Dame.
TP in the back line.
Shockwave is there, but it doesn't matter. That's going to be the prison going down. Stand United goes on to Lucian, and Causation is the only one taking a lot of damage here. Fizz is now on the one side. It's 3v3. Bad Comedy just joined the fight, has all the cooldowns. Here comes Jabbar. Flash forward to the stun, and it's huge. Fizz is the target of this one. No, they're switching up instantly to Free Soul, and a big taunt coming through by Bad Comedy, though. Petrifying Gaze hits on 2. Not enough to secure any of the kills, and Kled's in the wings. Is he going to make any more happen? He is. He's jumping the wall directly into Fizz, and Jabbar's there. The shield is just in time, but it's not quite enough to break through. Flash away from Fizz, and the distortion slows Looter enough. Incredible Orianna.
Yeah, that was a huge play, and just what are we watching anymore? It is just a brawl at this point. People are going back and forth. But it's important to note, this is worth 1k shutdown on this Orianna. If that kill went over to that Kled or anybody, they would immediately just skyrocket in gold, slam right back into the game. But just staying alive by a knife's edge, that is just luck or skill, call it whatever you want. Extremely good for SKZA either way.
SKZA also going to use that power to come away with the Rift Herald. They have almost all the outers here. The top lane one is the last one. So they're going to conduct a lane swap, same as game 2. Take the dragon, take the tower bot, lane swap top, grab the Herald, and now they're going to try and push that one in.
Yeah, and I really do like how Schism is trying to control the map as best as they can and force while they have the advantage. The Orianna is the big key, though. They need to fight with her. She is coming up here, though. If there's an overcommit by... Oh, they see her and stop it.
3v2. Here comes Kane. It's going to be 4v3 here in a second.
Oh, but look at that Orianna damage onto the Sejuani. She's just so strong.
Causation there, hanging out in the wings. There's nothing they can really do. They let the tower go. Not a terrible decision there. Command Shockwave goes through an assassin actually front. Deadly low. Cassiopeia with a huge petrifying gaze. And now, in the back line is Jungle Prince trying to pick up another one. He's going to, and he's still going to be alive. Pass Infinity picks up one on Looter through the Ignite. That's going to be a devastating team fight, as well as 2 towers going for Schism.
Yeah, and that might actually just be what secures them the advantage they need to close this game out eventually. That puts them solidly in a gold lead. That diversifies their gold, so it's not just purely on that Orianna. They're going to crack open this inhib tower. They might stick around for the inhib. It will be a little bit risky to do so.
I don't think they care at all with the Rift Herald. They're just going to take it. There's the back out. The Rift Herald still has some health to spare. Gives them seizing control of the map here.
It definitely is impressive by Schism. As long as they just use their Shen ulti smart. Oh.
Causation falling for the Fnatic bush bait. That's a rough one. That's going to be Baron for them as well. Moral of the story,
they haven't reset yet. This is risky. There's no Riven here. No TP. No, they didn't know that earlier, but
they know there's no wards here, so I don't think it's very risky at all. Only with Thought Assassin, and now you got to be scared.
Yeah. It goes over, though, to Jung Prince.
I gotta say, in my mind, the moral of the story here is don't let SKZA have a bot lane that has priority, because they know how to work that. And that's going to show even more here. Concussive blows bring an end. Jung Prince be the one to deal the last blow onto Thought Assassin there.
I don't even know if it's necessarily the jungle, or sorry, the bot lane, but I feel like it's more like Fist just got so much through the botched mid lane plays between Looter and Thought Assassin. And, you know, Looter and Thought Assassin had some wonderful plays themselves, especially games 1 and 2, but this game just aren't finding anything really. And because Fist got such an accelerated lead through some of the misexecutions and bad comedy, also just having the assistance with the Shen, global pressure, it's just such a one-sided game compared to the other two we saw, which were so neck and neck.
As the focus returns to the bottom side of the map, Super is starting to get into the waves of top. Baron inhibit push through the bot lane makes the first inner turret I should say, go down without any issues.
Yeah, and this is a slow bleed with the Baron. They're just going to start sieging down. Engage coming out.
Fled does the ultimate out there. There is the cleanse used by Oriana. She's in the backside. No one's able to get onto her. The freedom to reap terror, although now 3 members are down. That's going to be Jungle Prince looking for causation as well on the end of that one. Full team ace, and no price even paid for the team of SKZA.
Yeah. Huge statement in Game 3. SKZA's ability to adapt in this series has proven to be what they needed to win it all. And props to McMasters. They just came swinging. They showed a great show in Game 1. Game 2 looked like they almost would take it, actually. And slight things, slight little misplays that cost them the series. But in the end, they definitely proved they have what it takes to tango with the big dogs. They didn't come out on top today, but great effort by them. But obviously, SKZA, they showed, hey, we are a top team for a reason. You know, we had a little misstep, but we're good at fixing our issues. We adapted, we overcame, and we're here to make a statement. We're here to take it all.
Absolutely. That's going to be, for anyone watching them going through into the playoffs, that's going to be something to watch out for. Whether they showed all of their strategies or whether they just played this particular one, only they really know. But like you said, there's a statement there. Hey, we are a top team. We're a contender.
They definitely are.
So that brings us to the close of our program tonight. I want to thank everyone so much for being a part of this. Thanks to DSG, all the sponsors, and to the teams for showing up, putting out such a great match. Thank you, Meowing Cat, for providing us the insight that we need to try to understand this stuff. And we'll be closing out. Thanks so much for watching, and good night.